they do that sometimes, I don't know. Did I do it right? Hello, my name is Jordan Kahn. I'm the chef owner of Vespertine, Meteora, and Destroyer. Today we will be making Cuban sandwich, or cubanos as they're known. This is a deeply nostalgic flavor memory for me as growing up in a Cuban household. So we felt that it would be appropriate for us to kind of show you some of our interpretations of how to make a traditional cubano. It literally smells like my grandmother's house already. This is wild. First thing we're going to do is introduce some of the ingredients that we'll be working with. Traditionally, cubanos are made with something called pernil, which is a roasted Cuban pork, typically done with the shoulder, but can be done with a few parts of the animal. We've chosen pork belly as kind of a clever nod to the Chinese influence that exists in Cuba. What we want to do is kind of make more of a Cantonese style pork belly with very crispy skin, but using obviously Cuban flavors, and this will be the base for what we eventually slice and make its way into the sandwich. So the first thing we're going to do is brine this. So we just have a boneless belly here, but very important, the skin is still on. First thing we'll do is we'll take salt, black pepper, cumin, bay leaf, and some heirloom garlic. We always use heirloom garlic because it not only tastes better, but also does not linger on you long after you eat it. My grandmother never made Cuban sandwiches. They would take us on trips to Miami a few times a year to see our family. Cuban sandwiches are not really made in the house. It's kind of like a restaurant thing. They actually were invented in Florida. And there's a kind of a big dispute whether or not they originated in Tampa or Miami or Key West. I'll let those people continue their fight. I'm from Savannah, Georgia, so there was really truly no Cuban enclave there whatsoever except for my grandmother's house and our house. So going to Miami was very, I think, nourishing for the family because there was just a whole culture there, and so we could have all of the things that we would see only exist in my grandmother's house. Like my grandfather famously, when they got their house, Cuban ingredients were not available, so they had to grow all of them. So a big backyard filled with sour orange trees, and my grandfather was such a kind, generous person. Whenever he would have oranges, he would all give them to the neighbors. And I guess the story goes is they all knew how kind my grandfather was, so they were always very welcome. He's oh, thank you so much, Francisco. And they didn't want to hurt his feelings, but one day my grandmother saw some of the neighbors throwing the oranges out in the dumpster because they didn't know what sour oranges were. They were like, God, this guy has the worst oranges. And they would go and eat them, and they would think that they were so gross. But of course, they're not meant for eating outright. They're meant for cooking. So a few other interesting things I had never seen before outside of my grandfather's garden until recently when we started growing them ourselves. This is something called Cuban oregano. It's actually a very succulent leaf. It has a kind of a soft furriness to it and a snap and a juiciness. Has a large amount of oregano essential oil, but it also has kind of a few other tertiary notes to it which make it kind of its own flavor. These are burro bananas. We got them green to make our mariquitas, an heirloom banana. These are mamey. It's a variety of sapote. It's my mom's favorite fruit. Deep orange on the inside. They have no acid whatsoever. It's all custard. We're going to make a milkshake with that, and instead of using ice cream, we're essentially going to use the flesh of the mamey. The flavor itself is very mild. It has some umami notes and a bit of kind of a slight vanilla quality to it, but the texture is extraordinary. It's like eating very, very dense custard. So rather than pulling for the white jar of ice cream powder, you blend in some mamey, and it has the most beautiful silky texture, but doesn't have any gums in it, so it's not a flavor inhibitor. And then of course some habaneros. Cuban cuisine is not spicy at all, but they would always have little jars of hot sauce on the table. So my grandfather really likes spicy food, so we're gonna make ours a little bit spicy. Getting back to the pork, so we're essentially just boiling all of these ingredients. We're using half the amount of water in the brine, and then the other half is going to come in the form of ice. This makes it so that we can boil everything, but we can chill it down really quickly. Otherwise, if we were to use 100% water, we would have to wait for this to cool for hours. So this is just sort of a quick, instant chill. So this is gonna get brined for 12 hours. If you don't have space in your refrigerator, you could certainly use a cooler. And there's enough ice still left in here where to actually keep it for 12 hours perfectly cold on the counter, just in an insulated cooler. Once your pork is sufficiently brined, you'll just want to dry it. And then we're going to make some incisions into the skin. But essentially the idea here is we want to perforate the skin so that as it cooks, it gives it space to expand. And this will make our skin not only crispy, but also it will puff quite a bit. The smaller we make these cuts, the better the texture will result in. It'll give more air, more space to expand. And so it'll create a nice brittle, crisp skin. We don't go too deep, we don't hit the meat, we just score just the skin. It's gotta live back. This is a pork that we have brined and scored. This has been brined for 12 hours. We scored the skin on this nicely. And then the next thing we're gonna do is make a marinade. And we're gonna toast the spices first. Now add all the herbs. We're gonna then take this and we're gonna apply it to the bottom side of this. Next thing we're gonna do is then flip this guy over carefully. So we have the marinade on the bottom. We're then gonna start creating a little package. We're gonna kind of fold the edges so that we can develop sturdy walls. So we're essentially doing two cooking processes at once. So one of the process that we're doing is kind of creating almost a form of a braise in the bottom side of this, but by leaving the top open, we're also allowing dry heat roast. So as this cooks, this will start to dry out. This will start to make the skin crispy, but it protects what's inside the belly underneath so that that can get nice and tender. The other thing the reason why this is important is we're actually going to cover the top of this skin with salt. And it's going to prevent the salt from getting into the flesh side, which will immediately absorb it. The skin will kind of not absorb too much salt, just enough to season it, but also to dry it out. And then we're gonna bake this for about 1 to 2 hours, depending on your oven's efficiency. We'll pull it out, we'll let it cool a bit. We're gonna brush all the salt off, still keeping the foil on the sides to protect it. And then afterwards, we're gonna put it back in the oven under the broiler setting, and we're gonna puff and crispy up this skin. While that's doing its thing, we can actually make something that is not traditional at all. It's a vinaigrette that we'll use as actually kind of a sauce for this. All right, so you can see our score has created these tiny little crispy nuggets. And then the sides, it's fully tender. Next, we'll get into sandwich assembly. We would always sort of say, especially in the restaurants, if we were making a sandwich, always make it as if you are making it for yourself after work. You go all the way to the edges, because that first bite is so important. So we're gonna take a little bit of the marinade from the pork belly, and we're just gonna put a very light coating on this side of the bread. This is also not traditional. inside of your foil some wonderful little gifts that you need to make sure that you don't get rid of, which is all of this pork fat that is now infused. We're gonna do a little dip. And slice it upside down. It'll make it a little bit easier to get through cleanly. And then the second layer, to glue them in, we're gonna take our pork fat, olive oil, make sure that came from the rendered, and we're gonna sog out this guy a little bit. Cuban sandwiches, just like American sandwiches, oftentimes are served with chips. In this case, because we're Cuban influenced, we're going to be using bananas. These are green, so their starches have not converted to sugar yet. They're nice and hard. These are burro bananas, an heirloom. You can also use plantains as well, which are more traditional, but we like the flavor of the burros a lot. So. We'll start it a little bit higher, and then as it cooks, we'll kind of lower the temp a bit to let them get fully crisp. We're also going to make a milkshake, or a licuado, or a batido, out of this fruit, which is called mamey. It's quite an unusual fruit for Americans. It's deeply sweet, custardy, kind of has a vanilla-like flavor. Big seed in the center. And this seed is very delicious to use. It tastes like almonds. Our takitos are basically have stopped moving, so we're gonna fish these guys out. First thing we'll do is we'll just add a little bit of butter to this. We'll see how hot this is. Oh, it's pretty perfect. This is a little influence that we apply that's atypical. These sandwiches are also great because you can build them way ahead of time and wrap them in plastic wrap. Keep them in the fridge. All you need to do when it's time to serve them is just press them. Leave them in the press, takes about 5 to 10 minutes, and then you're good to go. I think it's important to make sure to go dark enough. You don't want it to be too light, like if we were to look here. It's a nice golden brown. We want most of this to match kind of that texture.
guys, it is Nicole.
I'm Ashley.
From the People vs. Food YouTube channel, and we are here on the last day of the LA Times Food Bowl at the Paramount backlot. This is your first food bowl, right?
Yes, and I am so excited. I love Paramount, and this looks amazing.
On our channel, People vs. Food, we create tantalizing treats based around all of your favorite movies, television shows, and cartoons. And we love to eat. We know a thing or two about good food, and there's so much good food here.
Oh my God, I know. I'm really excited to try this Evil Cooks right here. It looks so interesting and like Halloween themed, and we're close to it. Also, I saw pizza trucks. I love Italian food. I know it's gonna be amazing.
That is your favorite, right?
It is. I can't like just not eat Italian food. It feels wrong if I don't.
And Lucid, which is also right at the entrance, they are serving up a chicken liver profiterole. Those are just words that sound so incredible together. Like, we have to come back and try that.
Oh, it feels right.
It does.
I need to try it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think Kenneth and Jair and Michael are down at the other end. They found some really good eats too.
Oh, we should probably go and join them.
We should.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? It's Chef Michael down here on the streets of the Los Angeles Times Food Bowl. I'm hanging out with my friends Kenneth and Jair. We're walking around checking out the spots that we're most excited for today. Kenneth, why don't you tell me what you've seen that you're excited about?
I just saw Apollonia's Pizza right down here. They look super, super good. It's a square slice of vodka pizza.
Ooh.
It sounds amazing. I can't wait to try it.
That's awesome.
Jair, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I'm kind of excited for this place called Hamasaku Sushi. They got this like halibut sashimi that I'm really excited to try. So, yeah.
I'm stoked. El Russo truck is here today. They're one of my favorite spots to get tacos. Dino's Famous Chicken is in the house. They're a great team. They're great chicken. It's going to be an awesome day. Why don't we throw it over to the stage where Trevor and Raven are and see what kind of programming and what's going on over there.
What's up, everyone? It's me, Trevor, and
me, Raven, from People vs. Food.
Heck yeah, and we're here in front of the main stage here at the Food Bowl. We're pretty pumped. We got some awesome stuff going on. Nancy Silverton's doing a demo later, which is super crazy. We're over here by the VIP lounge as well. Again, third day, Durasi Caviar, going in for more bumps. It's going to be awesome. What are you pumped for?
Every single day.
Every single day. Every single day.
I was walking around just now, and I'm really excited about some French toast that I saw. We've got more pizza places today. I didn't eat breakfast, so I'm ready.
Yeah, no, we were talking about breakfast this morning. We're like, nope, no breakfast. I'm going to have pizza in 2 hours.
That's what the food bowl's for.
Yeah, no, going to be awesome. Super pumped. If you see us around, make sure to say hi and go follow us at People v Food on Instagram. And check out the live stream. We're on the LA Times website, and we're also over on X. So, yeah, stick around. It's going to be awesome.
We're going to be here all day. So if you see us, come get a sticker, and make sure to say hi.
Come get a sticker.
I'm Owen Han, the cookbook author of Stacked, The Art of the Perfect Sandwich, which will be out October 15th. Even though I've lived in LA for many years, I have yet to go to the Food Bowl. I think I'm most looking forward to, well, one, the cooking demo. That'll be a lot of fun. But two, really just meeting a bunch of other people and trying different foods too that I've yet to. A lot of restaurants I'm excited to try. One being Whole Box, Anna Jack Thai, Budanoki. I live on the west side, so any restaurants out east, there's a lot that I've yet to try, and so excited for that tonight. First food memory would be chubby Owen in my Nana's kitchen, where she's making pane Nutella, so literally bread and Nutella, and I just remember eating that. It's untoasted, 2 ingredients, one of the most simple dishes out there, and still to this day, it's one of my favorite meals. Well, I've always had a love for sandwiches, grew up eating them, would make them for myself all the time. And so when I first started posting on social media, I was just kind of cooking recipes I grew up eating. And then one day I decided to film my lunch, which happened to be a chicken bacon avocado sandwich. And it was my first video to really go viral. And from there, I just kept sharing my love for sandwiches, and it just kind of stuck. Half Italian, half Chinese, and so for instance, another recipe in the book is my Chinese grandma's shrimp toast recipe, and that was the first video I ever posted on social media, so that one's very near and dear to my heart. Obviously, I have the book, and that's my ode to sandwiches, but admittedly, I can cook a lot more than just sandwiches, and so I guess my next step would be I really want to tap into longer form content. And that's where YouTube comes in. So longer videos and showing really recipes I grew up eating, not just sandwiches, and sharing my heritage as well. Favorite LA restaurants. I have a few staples that I hit all the time. Night Market for Thai. I feel like I get that at least once a week. Kazu for sushi. Let's see. Well, being in Venice, I guess some of my go-tos there are Gelina. I'll go to Great White for brunch, Justa. So those are some.
Boxes all day long, in my heart a hero song. Onward to my destiny, the warrior inside of me.
Adventurous, now heed my call. Myth-Pharaoh will never fall.
The world looks to California to answer the hard questions, for redemption, to introduce the unfamiliar, to be resilient. Because California bounces back, holds us accountable, values who we are, remains vigilant, defies those in our way, and stands for community. Here on the West Coast, we're at the center of it all. Los Angeles Times, the state of what's next.
Careful.
Okay.
Ta-da!
It's your garage.
Mom, it's an ADU.
An AD who?
An additional dwelling unit. I read this article in the LA Times about the housing shortage and ways to get around the red tape.
Did you do this for
It
me?
needs a little bit of work, but...
No!
I forgot. Your housewarming gift. It's an earthquake kit.
Oh, now you want to scare me?
I mean, I'm just saying, the big one's coming.
Let me enjoy this moment. I have a lot of decorating to do. Where should we start? I gotta move my things out here.
What do you think? Hi, I'm Sue Milliken. I'm a chef and owner of restaurants in Los Angeles and Palm Springs and Las Vegas, Socolo Border Grill, and today I'm here in this gorgeous test kitchen of the LA Times to show you my favorite at-home recipe, which is a recipe for ribs. And it's gonna be summer, so it's a good time to share this recipe with you. I love these pork ribs. I like to, take them out of the package. They usually come in plastic packages, and then I just like to dry them really well. After all these years of being a chef, I've learned a lot. And one of the things that I don't eat a lot of meat, but when I do eat meat, I love a really good quality, and I like to treat it with so much respect. So the thing I've learned about like a roast chicken or these ribs is I salt them carefully and pepper them and then put this rub of herbs on and let them sit overnight uncovered in my refrigerator to dry a little bit. All the flavors kind of concentrate into the meat, and it's just a far superior result. And I like to put this on first, just to make sure that I'm hitting every little nook and cranny of the ribs so that it's kind of like almost like a cure, a light cure. And I like to put it on the edges, on the bones. Then I'm going to let this just sit for a moment while I make the paste, which is going to be made up of sage leaves. And I should also mention that this recipe is inspired by a recipe in Bruce Aidel's pork book, because he has a beautiful recipe for, I think they're like Italian-inspired ribs. But I have upped the amount of herbs and fennel seeds by like 3 or 4 times. So these are all kind of what I would call the sturdier herbs. They're not the soft herbs like basil and parsley and cilantro, and these will hold up really well for this use. Hold up to both the fatty pork And we're going to use some balsamic vinegar, and we're also going to use some hot chili pepper with a little bit of a bite. So we're definitely, these heartier herbs, sturdier herbs, hold up to those flavors better than the soft ones, in my opinion. I love thyme. Some of the top ends of the branches are innocuous, so I don't take them off. I just take as much of the bottom part of the leaves off and leave the really tough part of the stem there. And then, but there's other times when like the thyme can be leggy and not very easy to clean, and that's when I take it from the bottom, and then I take because the top is just going to come off, but if you can go backwards on it, that really works really well. Yes, I grew up eating pork ribs in Michigan on the beach, grilling over live coals, and the glaze, unlike my mom's, which was the ketchup-based, very sweet one, this one is more acidic. So it's balsamic vinegar, basically, with just a little bit of the juice that collects in the foil when I cook this slowly over indirect heat, and that's it. I'll put them in the bowl, actually, and then I'm gonna add a good amount of garlic. I want to add some spice. So I like anything you have at home. If it's crushed red pepper, that's fine. This is an Urfa chili. It's got a real earthy kind of flavor. This one is called Aleppo, which is of course Syrian. And I also love that. So I'm gonna use about a teaspoon of each of those. But whatever you have at home will work fine, as long as it adds some kick. The other thing that really makes this recipe sing, in my opinion, is the fennel seeds. And it's a lot. Way more than Bruce Adele puts in his. You can see that they're pretty pulverized, but a little bit of texture left. And then I'm gonna moisten everything with just a splash of olive oil. Not too much, because I want it to really stick to the ribs. I'm gonna put this on both sides, and then I'm gonna let it sit overnight in the refrigerator to cure. And the thing about ribs that's cool, they sit with like an air pocket underneath. So you don't even have to put it on a rack. Sometimes I do, but because these bones are gonna hit the bottom of the cookie sheet, it's kind of an automatic lift, so the air can circulate all around. What I'm gonna do is just put it in the refrigerator like this and let it cure overnight for about 24 hours until it's, like I said, a little dehydrated, a little bit more condensed in flavor. Imagine that our ribs have been drying out in the refrigerator overnight, and now they're ready to start to cook. So I'm gonna cut them in half so it's a little bit easier to handle, just like that. And then I'm gonna wrap them really well in foil. And I'm gonna cook them indirectly. I like to use a double piece of foil so that I can make sure that I collect all the juice inside. This is another sort of little trick that chefs, I think, have discovered over time that just concentrates the flavors. Because we're gonna cook this inside this package. If I just cooked it on the fire the whole time, all the beautiful aromas that would be coming into the air would be leaving the pork and going into the great atmosphere, when you'd rather have them all concentrated right inside there. Wrap it up like this, and then I'm going to cook it over indirect heat at about 300 degrees on the grill, or if you wanted to do this on your in your oven, you can do that as well. Depending on how thick the ribs are, about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes. Just want it to cook until it's not quite falling off the bone, but has still some chew, because the next step after the par cooking is going to be to put it on the hotter grill over direct heat and glaze it with the balsamic. So these ribs have cooked now for about an hour and 10 minutes. I've been moving them around. This side of the grill is off. Well, this side of the grill is on quite hot. So this is the indirect part. It's definitely warming up and becoming cooked for sure. The way I check is just to push my finger, and if I can get in between those bones, I feel like that's enough. That's what they look like. I'm gonna capture this beautiful pork juice in a little pot here to make sure that I put that flavor right back into the dish. I'm going to make this glaze. I'm going to go ahead and put some on top before we put it on the hotter part of the grill. I always cut the ribs into the piece, single ribs, because these are so meaty, like I said earlier. They're absolutely gorgeous and they're warm, which is the way you want them. They are pretty much all in addictive. You make these at home and I promise you're going to have a lot of fans. What do you think?
First of all, Anna Jack X Moosecraft is one of the few collabs that we've done that we've actually brought we've done it twice. Mm-hmm. So there's a part 1 and there's a part 2 over the years. And obviously that means we've got to do a part 3.
Yeah, I said, they're putting us in a room together. We're probably another collab happening. But yeah, we did one in 2020 together and it was a blast. And Justin was like, honestly, that's probably one of my favorites. We should do it again soon. And the opportunity happened and we did it. And we mashed a burger together and some pork belly and a lot of herbs and another one of his delicious sauces.
That was the main.
Some beef cheek, brisket, and the smoked burger. 3 items.
And pork belly burnt ends. You forgot. She forgot already.
Yeah.
And the sausage.
We just forgot. Yes, that was Yes, it was probably the tastiest TDT we've ever had.
We'll plan for 2025. It's just around the corner.
It's too.
How did we meet?
How did we meet?
I know we came to your restaurant.
We've always known each other.
We've always known each other, but then we came one day with the kids during the pandemic to have your food. And I think we formally met there.
Yeah.
The alley was a vibe, still is a vibe, and it was just, we can go eat somewhere, and it's outside, and that's where we went, and
The rest is history. We became friends, and we've collaborated a few times, and it's just been so much fun. To be able to collaborate like barbecue with, something so different and delicious like Thai food, who just has all of these crazy flavors, it's something fun for us because we keep things very traditional and very clean classic methods. And when we get to collaborate with someone like Anna Jawad,
clean and classic.
It's just, it's so good. Like the herbs, the flavors, the sauces, it's just, it's so good.
She agrees.
And it's fun. It's fun for us. One of the things that we do that's a little bit different is that we incorporate a lot of our heritage into our food. So we'll have fun with different specials like enchiladas and tacos and different things like that. And so when Thai Taco Tuesday started at Anna Jack, I was like, that's the perfect mashup. You know, we can bring in the protein, they can do their added, you know, their flair and their mix to it. And it was the perfect marriage, so.
And Chef Justin, can you tell us about Thai Taco?
Still trying to figure it out myself. We're making it up as we go, but Thai Taco Tuesday, or TTT as in short, is where we just get down.
Yeah.
And it was birthed in the pandemic in a quieter time. So we always just throw kind of a fun little party. And it's a pretty irreverent menu. It diverges from the classic Anna Jack menu a bit. And we're grilling outside. It's nice, you know, but it makes sense. It makes sense that we bring in interesting people to the alley to do something with a good amount of flair. People who know how to, like, you know, throw a good party.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey guys, it is Nicole and Ashley from People vs. Food, and I am so excited that you are here. Chef Rocky from Brique LA. Brique LA.
Yes.
Makes the best French toast that you will ever have in your life.
Aw, thank you.
And can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the Brique French toast. So this is our signature item that we sell in our store. And it is a thick cut brioche French toast. And it comes with our 3 signature toppings. It will be vanilla bean whipped cream, toasted coconut chips, and a peanut butter coconut maple syrup.
And Ashley, you've never had this before, right?
No, I've never had this, and French toast is my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I'm so excited for this. Okay.
I'm excited for you to try.
Oh my God, I'm gonna just grab a fork real quick.
Oh. And then these are our briquettes. So it's a smaller portion of our brick, and it's a grab and go, ready to eat.
Mate. Okay. Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
I know it's always a moment, your first bite, the first time you try it.
Yeah.
It's always a
And
moment.
where are you guys located in Los Angeles?
We are located in Century City Mall. On the 2nd level near Din Tai Fung and Nordstrom side.
So if you guys are in LA, you definitely should go check them out. And also, if you're at the festival, you should come find them and try it.
Please come say hi.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be here live streaming for the rest of the day on latimes.com and on X, so follow along.
Bye guys.
It's pie dough. We're making pie dough.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Brazier with the LA Times Food Section, and I'm here today with Courtney McBroom, the culinary consultant for the fantastic Apple TV Plus show.
Very important.
Lessons in Chemistry, wherein food plays a pivotal part of the storyline, especially for star Brie Larson, who has a wonderful TV series back in the 1950s about chemistry and cooking for your family. One of the main forces who made all of that happen was, of course, Courtney. So today, Courtney is going to show us how to make a perfect pie.
Called apiogenesis. And it's a nod to the show because Elizabeth and Calvin were studying abiogenesis, which is the beginning of all life. That's what the whole thing that they were doing in the show was all about. This is apiogenesis because this is the beginning of a pie's life. It's pie dough. We're making pie dough. Start with flour, my friend. 2.5 cups to be exact.
Talk to me a little bit about, I guess, bringing chemistry into food. And did you have to teach your longtime friend, Brie Larson?
She's a great cook. I mostly just taught her like how to finesse. You want to cut the butter?
I'll cut the butter. Let's do it.
Do you want the cool, awesome knife, or do you want like the pastry knife? This is technically what you should use, but I feel like this knife is awesome, and just cut it into cubes.
Perfect.
We're gonna create some gluten in this pie crust.
Excellent.
You know about gluten, right?
Of course, gluten is not the devil, by the way.
We actually want to have a little bit of gluten in the pie crust, not too much. You want it to be like flaky and not tough, but it's good to create a little bit because it gives that little bit of a bite.
You also read the script and you weighed in with some thoughts for the character and the cooking of all that. What was that process like?
It was actually one of the coolest processes of my life. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I'd never worked on a TV show before. I think it's in the first episode. The director, Sarah Dina Smith, she directed the first 2 episodes. She's amazing, but she hadn't worked a ton with food. So, and she's also a vegetarian, which is so funny because it was like this beautiful meat lasagna.
Yeah, there's a lot of meat.
Today, we will be making a fan favorite, lasagna.
And I was kind of directing Sarah as Sarah was directing Brie to make the lasagna, so it kind of felt like I was getting to be a director.
Yeah, basically.
And it was easily the coolest moment of my life.
That's amazing.
I was like, all right, tell her to go. She's like, go. And I'm like, okay, that's good enough. Stop stirring. Stop stirring. I'm like, okay, it needs to be steamier.
You controlled the director.
Yes, I was Ratatouille.
I mean, what more does any chef want, honestly?
So let's make something hearty. Let's make something delicious.
Do you want to get your hands in, or do you want me to?
Always. That's the thing about cooking. You got to get in.
So toss it around. Get all the butter cubes
fully coated,
and then squish them between your hands.
Oh yeah.
It's really important to have like a good salty.
Oh, salt and sweet is a classic.
Like, it's
classic.
And we're also going to add some sugar to it.
You actually, I guess, made and styled, right?
Yeah. All of the food that Elizabeth Zott had anything to do with was me.
Incredible.
And food is its own character on the show. It's like the catalyst to so many of the connections that happen. It's true.
Yeah.
Like, it's true to life, you know? Like, that's how it is in life, too. Like, Elizabeth and Calvin fall in love over lunch.
It smells good. Is that mashed potatoes?
There's this huge potluck, and it's like everyone comes together, everyone brings their food, and to me, it's so beautiful and symbolic of like the whole meaning of the show, which is about connection and about like sticking through like thick and thin with your friends, and like what better way to do that than with food?
Yeah.
Food is how we do that.
And it's community, it builds community around them.
I'm obsessed with vintage cookbooks.
Oh my God, me too.
Particularly like the Betty Crocker recipe card collection. Do you know that one?
Oh, absolutely.
I love that one. And like all the food at that time is so weird. One of my favorite things is raw pie dough.
Oh my God. There are so few ingredients in a good pie dough.
You have to have the best ones.
You have to have really good ones, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just doing light flouring. I'm gonna get pie dough everywhere, but that's okay.
Why is it important to use cold butter?
Because you want there to be butter chunks. You want the butter chunks to remain, because whenever you put it in the oven and it melts, then the steam creates a pocket of steam, and that's what makes it flaky. So if it's not cold butter, then it'll just be like making cookie dough. You know, the butter will be too emulsified. We're not looking for that.
They're like ribbons of butter.
Can you see the ribbons?
And that's exactly what you want. Exactly what you want.
Yes, it's perfect.
I feel like we really crushed this.
This is something that's kind of cool that we're gonna do differently. We're gonna actually put a fold in, like puff pastry style fold into this dough to help create even more layers. We're kind of like doing like a blitz puff pastry.
And so what does this technique lend to the finished pie crust?
So it's literally creating more layers for extra flakiness.
Perfect. We love it.
And that's science. That's just plain science. So the savory galette, which you can get the recipe for this pie dough and also the galette and the lasagna and all of the lessons in chemistry recipes at lessonsinchemistryrecipes.com. For the galette, all you would do is simply put the filling in it and then fold it over. So you just kind of like push it in on
like the
edges.
heel of your hand.
Yeah, you can just kind of trim around so it's like the same length. Do you want to try a crimp?
Oh yeah. So we'll just do a little crimpy crimp.
Oh no.
Okay.
I think it's easier to do it. Sorry, that actually is fine. That's fine. Look what we made.
We did it with science.
Yes, science. I'm really looking forward to the LA Times Food Bowl this September 20th, 21st, and 22nd. I'm gonna head straight to the Burritos La Palma booth and get all of the burritos. They're so good, and they're tiny. They're like little burritos, so you can have more than one. It's the best thing about them.
Okay, good morning. No, good afternoon. It's already 12:20. Thank you guys all for coming out. Day 3 of the 2024 Los Angeles Times Food Bowl. Thank you guys for coming out. How are you doing today? For those of you who are getting some food, come on over. We've got some great cooking demonstrations for you today. First of all, I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor, City National Bank, for sponsoring this. If you have a VIP badge, please head over and try some of the delicious bites from Damien, courtesy of City National Bank. Also want to give a shout out to some of our other sponsors, Cathay Pacific and Hong Kong Tourism Board, as well as Rivian. Check out their electric vehicles just around the corner. And finally, don't forget to miss the immersive culinary experience sponsored by Jordan Kahn at Meteora. It's very, very cool if you haven't been over there. So anyway, without further ado, it's a privilege to first introduce from the LA Times, she's the food deputy editor. Please welcome Betty Halleck.
Thank you for being here. I'm so happy to be here on a perfect 80-degree day. I want to introduce our guests today, Sarah Hymanson and Sarah Kramer from Kismet Restaurant. Please welcome the Sarahs.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to
Hi. So if you're not familiar, their restaurants are Kismet and Kismet Rotisserie. Our food critic, our restaurant critic, Bill Addison at the LA Times once called Kismet the finest vegetable-loving restaurant in Los Angeles. And you have a cookbook now, Kismet.
We sure do.
Fresh, bright, vegetable-loving recipes. So please welcome Sarah and Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Betty. What are you making today?
We are making a recipe from the cookbook, which just came out in May, so we're very excited to be out here. It's a kohlrabi salad. If you've ever worked with any of these funny little guys, they're a really good time.
Have you all?
Anybody?
You all know what kohlrabi is?
Anybody?
Who loves kohlrabi? I love kohlrabi.
We're shouting it from up here. Like, get to know kohlrabi.
Get to know kohlrabi. It's a shaved kohlrabi and apple salad. It's a really good fall into winter shaved vegetable, really light but winter produce salad with some celery seed vinaigrette and macadamia nuts. It's completely vegan, but it sort of doesn't feel that way.
No,
it's a little
definitely
luxurious.
not. Yeah, I mean, I think that we all know how to make fresh, light vegetables in the summer, but it's a little bit harder to figure out how to make a raw dish in the winter. We have carrot salads and
we just want to expand the horizons.
I love a winter salad.
Yeah, us too.
Kohlrabi. Where do you get kohlrabi?
You can get it at the farmer's market. It's not there quite yet this time of year, but it will be soon enough.
You know, when we were in Chicago, I was surprised to see that at Trader Joe's, they actually sell julienne kohlrabi.
And you could make this with pre-cut kohlrabi if you had no other option.
Yes.
It's always going to be better fresh, but if that's the option, go for it.
Yeah, and like we're going to show you how to peel the kohlrabi, but it's definitely a little bit of an endeavor, so you should never feel shame about buying something like the julienne kohlrabi if it's going to make you actually be able to make the salad.
You should never feel shame, period. We're anti-shame.
Yeah.
When it comes to cooking.
Yeah. Do what you can.
I love kohlrabi because you can use it raw, you can use it roasted.
Yeah.
I love, I'm a nerd and I looked it up. So kohlrabi is a German word and kohl means cabbage and rabi means turnip. So I love that it's mild and sweet.
And in the cabbage family.
Yes.
But kind of has like a broccoli stem quality.
Yeah, it's like a broccoli stem and an apple kind of had a baby.
Oh, yeah, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, you could like peel one and like take a bite out of it. It would be tasty with a little salt.
For sure.
I also know what part of the plant it's from. It's a stem. It's not a root or tuber.
It's not a tuber.
It's the stem. And when you see it in the stores, they've cut off all the leaves. But
yeah,
I love that it's a really wild vegetable.
Leaves here and like a root here.
Yep.
But it grows above ground, which is fun because you would expect it to grow underground being this little bulb, but no. Kohlrabi's got some secrets in store for us.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's hard to use the stem and the leaves because they're pretty fibrous.
You really have to cook the leaves if you're gonna, but if you want to make some boiled kohlrabi leaves, delightful.
Yeah.
So what do you do? So what's the first step that you do with kohlrabi?
All right. First step is, as Sarah mentioned, we are going to peel it. You can start with a knife. You should start with a knife. You can move on to a peeler if you're a little knife scared, but just like have a good little grip on this guy. You want to like make sure that you're really stabilizing it and lop off both sides. It's kind of like supreming a citrus fruit. So you go around the edge like that.
So I like to go around with a knife.
Tell me that I'm not doing it well.
No, you're doing a great job.
She's gonna say she's got a better way to do it.
I'm just giving a few more like bits of information about the kohlrabi itself. So there is the peel, but then there's sometimes a fibrous layer around the outside.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to make sure that I'm staying in frame, but like if you can see it here.
There's sometimes like white lines
under the green.
So sometimes I find it helpful if you don't want to lose too much of the vegetable to do a little bit of peeling after you remove the tough outer layer of the vegetable.
Yeah, it helps to, especially if you're not super familiar with knife skills, it definitely helps to have this guy handy. And we really advocate for this style of peeler. I know that people like this kind, but you actually have a lot more control with this style of peeler. You can really, like, I'm not going to do it on this apple because I want to save this apple. I like the skin on it, but you really can get in there and do a lot with it. Whereas with this one, I feel like you just kind of like are shaving little bits as opposed to being able to really control the whole peeler and be able to like really get in there. So
yeah, I think it just takes a little bit of getting used to holding the peeler that way because everyone's so used to being able to have like a firm grip on the handle.
Right.
But I think once you're used to it, it is much easier. This is a very good example of one that you can see the more fibrous bits on the other side, like on the bottom.
Oh,
See it
there.
kind of like running
here.
through the vegetable.
It depends. You should taste your kohlrabi also to make sure that it's not super fibrous. Oftentimes, it is like perfect and sweet and doesn't have any of this going through. You can kind of see the pattern here. So we'll shave a couple slices and taste it. And if it's feeling fibrous, we're gonna maybe just put that in the compost.
Yeah.
Have you ever spiralized a kohlrabi?
Ooh, no.
I'm sure it would work very well.
Probably be really good.
Do you do a lot of spiralizing, Betty?
No, but I've seen kohlrabi, raw kohlrabi noodles spiralized, and it made me want a spiralizer.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, it would also be very good at making like a sheet.
Oh, I think it would be really good for a sheet.
A sheet of kohlrabi.
To like wrap something in.
Yes, for sure.
So
you could probably blanch it or just salt it like we're about to. And then it's very pliable.
And how many do you need for a salad?
I think we said 4 medium-sized kohlrabis, but these are a little bit, maybe a little bit small. Yeah, no, we'll do 4.
This would probably, we're gonna make a portion that's good for, I think, a side dish for 2 people is what we're aiming to do. Maybe slightly more depending on what other food you've got going on and how much you like to eat kohlrabi.
We're big fans of making lots of little dishes so that there's variety in your meal.
I love that that's the way you like to eat. Like lots of little dishes, a lot of vegetables. I think a couple of the themes from the book, one was, a lot of vegetables, a little meat, and also anything can be a salad.
Yes,
so,
truly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to put, tinned fish in a salad. We like to put poached chicken in a salad.
We like to make a cooked vegetable salad,
vegetable
a raw
salad.
vegetable salad.
Yeah, you can really turn anything into a salad. Any other salad items out there that we're not mentioning that people really like? Anything?
What's on your menu right now, salad-wise?
Good question.
Tomato and stone fruit still.
It's still very summery here.
Yes, we have
you could tell
a
from the
white
sunglasses.
bean and tomato salad.
The artichoke, the poached artichoke that is now white bean is really good.
And it has some fish sauce in it and nigella seed and toasted garlic, and then we marinate these really delicious creamy white beans, kind of like substantial creamy white beans.
They're extremely good white beans. They're like the best white beans you've ever had. They're these butter beans from a farm near Half Moon or in Half Moon Bay called Ayakopi. Yeah.
They're very
We're
delicious.
obsessed.
I mean, we're pro all the beans in Southern California, but We are currently sourcing from Northern
These
California.
are just really, really, really good beans in particular, but you can get great beans at the farmer's market too.
Or you could even buy canned beans and marinate them, maybe heat them up and marinate them with all of the ingredients in the artichoke salad from the book, and then we just mix it with fresh cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, it's fun to look at the things that we've made in the book, the recipes that we've made in the book, and to like see the marinade that's on the artichokes and be like, oh, what else can I do with that? It's not exclusively for artichokes. We can also put it on beans. We can also put it on tomatoes. We can also put it like as a base for a pasta potentially with like when you're cooking it. So there's a lot of different options. It's fun to be a little flexible, and we like to think of cooking generally that way, that you can do a lot with a little.
Yeah, you're so genius at putting different ingredients together and flavors that people wouldn't expect. How do you think about putting a salad together?
Definitely a balance of texture, and I think like a balance of richness and brightness. So I think we want some stuff that's going to be soft, some stuff that's going to be crunchy.
We generally, this was one of the few salads that doesn't have an herb component, though we can certainly recommend plenty of herbs that would go nicely with it.
Yeah.
In the past, we've used
dill,
lovage, which you
lovage.
can get from the farmer's market right now. But yeah, generally we like an herbal kind of like fresh component.
Lemon verbena.
Verbena would be good.
Love lemon verbena. It's hard to eat the leaf though. It's like good to steep in things.
Or you can make an oil and kind of finish it with that.
And they seem so nice steamed with like a little bit of compound butter with herbs or something.
Kohlrabi, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna shave them on the mandolin, and this is a very dangerous tool. You wanna always proceed with the most caution. So I like to rest it on a towel because it helps stabilize it. Because if it's just on a board or on your bowl, it has, well, actually it's pretty stable on this board. Because
Well, this has this nice guard.
I know, this is a fancy mandolin.
So this mandolin,
wow,
you gotta order special, but it is amazing because it's wider than the traditional mandolin, so you can shave things like that whole apple and get nice big slices or a larger kohlrabi.
Very luxurious. I don't have one of these at home, and I might need to invest in one.
Yeah, I haven't seen one that big.
Right, it's crazy. So now I'm gonna stabilize my bowl instead, so that I can also like put my hand on the side of the bowl, stabilize the top of this thing, so the whole thing's really stable. So I'm not gonna move in any direction and potentially hurt myself. Famous last words. But you also want to test it out in the beginning to make sure that the thickness feels right, because if you don't want to get to the end of one of your kohlrabis and then realize that it's all too thick or too thin, what do you think?
I think a little bit thicker.
A little thicker, she says a little thicker.
Well, because we're going to salt it, and once we salt the vegetable, it's going to release all the water, or a good amount of water, and become thinner. So you can actually go thicker than you think.
I think that's pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
She still thinks thicker.
A little bit.
She's always here keeping me honest. Okay, I think
because we still wanted to have some like a good bite to it.
Yeah, so you want to go about this kind of slowly, and I would say also that when you get down a little further,
if we have another,
when you get down a little further, I mean, you definitely want to keep your fingers always like kind of pointed up. You don't like, if you're gonna cut anything, it's nice to shave a little bit of your palm. You don't want to get any of your fingertips in there. So I also recommend doing it with a glove, because it'll catch the glove before it catches your fingers, so it'll stop it in its tracks. But a nice little trick is to do a little towel and to help push with a little towel. And so that way you get down to the bottom there, and I'm gonna stop right there. But it might cut a little bit of this. It's not cutting me, which is great, especially in front of a crowd of people.
Sarah famously, the first day of culinary school,
very first day,
went up to demo I
was like cutting apples in front of the class. We were like just IDing different kinds of apples. Like, what's this one good for? What's this one good for? What do they taste like? And I immediately had never used my knife before. It was like probably 4 times as big as this one.
Like the culinary school
school knife, classic gigantic culinary school knife. And the first thing I do is cut a giant chunk out of my finger in front of the whole class. And I still have like a pretty serious scar on the end of this finger to this day. So it's nice to stay humble when you're in front of a crowd.
I've worn a garden glove before.
Yeah,
riding glove.
The
A
like
garden glove. Oh, a garden glove.
Oh, the garden glove. They do make these like chain mail
exactly. Yes.
gloves.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
If you are about to mandolin for 2 hours,
right?
I hope you'll never do that. But
well, we have.
We have.
Yeah. In fact, that was maybe how we met. I was doing that for hours.
No, you were slicing with a knife.
No, I was mandolining on a gigantic mandolin because they had this cabbage mandolin.
What?
I'm telling you, you were not me. So you were not the one who was doing it. Yeah, we were in the back. We met because we were working in the same place for different businesses in the same building, and I was working for the kitchen supply store. Or no, I was working for the
kitchen supply store.
I was working for the butcher shop, and you were working for the kitchen supply store. And I was like doing their summer catering.
And you're making coleslaw.
I was making coleslaw, like a ton, like bus tubs of coleslaw for hours.
Why they
doing
didn't
it.
just get you like the Hobart attachment?
I don't know. Nobody's thinking clearly. But
Kohlrabi slaw would be delicious. Too.
it would be
so
so
good.
good. All right, we're getting there. We are getting
Okay, the reason
there.
we're waiting
Pretty
on
good.
this is because
we want to salt it.
we want to salt it.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna.
Do we want me to do the fourth one, or we feel like we're in a good place? Maybe we salt it, and I'll do the fourth one so we can move on to onto the dressing. But because it's such a hearty vegetable, we want it to be a little bit more supple. We're gonna get a little salt on here, just a little, and it's gonna release the juice.
I think we
you
said
know,
about a tablespoon for the
Then I'll keep going. But this is a little less kohlrabi.
Yeah.
But we want to get it. So salt is going to draw the water out of your vegetable or anything that you put salt on, and it's going to make it a little softer, a little more pliable, a little easier to work with. So by the time we dress it, it'll be in a really nice place.
All right, great. So now we're gonna move along to making vinaigrette. I'm gonna steal this knife.
Can you tell me about the vinaigrette?
Yes. So it is a celery seed, onion, mustard vinaigrette. I know it doesn't sound that delicious when I say it that way, but it's a creamy celery seed vinaigrette. It has some Eastern European inspiration. I'm gonna just take probably about maybe a little bit more than a quarter of this onion.
And why do you do it in the blender?
So we're gonna blend up the onion completely, and it's gonna serve as an emulsifying agent to help make the dressing creamy. So we actually have a number of different emulsifying agents in it. So it's gonna be the onion, the mustard powder, and the celery seed that's gonna help us create this kind of creamy dressing.
Yeah, and I don't know if everyone knows what the word emulsion means or emulsification, but it is like the combining of fats and liquids, fats and water, essentially to have it be a homogeneous, emulsified.
So you do need, you can't just combine oil and vinegar and have it stay emulsified. You do need to add something else to it that is kind of like a binder of sorts. So
it's the difference between a creamy dairy-free dressing and a broken vinaigrette. Like if you just put oil and vinegar on something, that's never going to be emulsified. But if you put it in a blender and you have something binding it together, like mayonnaise is a classic emulsification.
So
Or
that was
aioli.
a very odd way of cutting my onion. You didn't see, but I think I'm going to take, this is about a quarter of a cup. And I am going to add, I think it's a quarter cup of white vinegar.
White distilled, which we
White
find
distilled.
extremely useful. I think it gets a bad rap. People don't tend to use it in vinaigrettes or tend to use it in their cooking very much, but it's a really, really useful thing for imparting acid without much flavor. So if you're trying to get something to be very flavorful in other ways, like we are in this case, it's a perfect vehicle for that to also provide acidity while not providing flavor.
It also has like a high acid content, so it's going to be generally higher acid than a lot of wine vinegars, or certainly than a rice wine vinegar. So you can take something like a rice wine vinaigrette and then add just a touch of distilled to make it a little bit more acidic, or even a lemon vinaigrette and add a touch of distilled vinegar if it feels like you're
up the ante.
Yes, and like lemons are a fruit. They're not all the same acidity. So sometimes you want to be able to control that a little bit more. So I have about 1/4 cup of onions. I have, I think, 2 teaspoons of mustard powder, some celery seed. I love celery seed and all things in the celery family.
Me, not so much.
Some
in this case, really like it though.
Kosher salt, some white sugar.
So how do you two compromise when one of you likes something, one of you doesn't?
Well, Sarah sees the value in celery.
I can be fair-minded about celery.
All right.
But I think very often it's an easy negotiation. Yeah. We should have maybe tested this thing before we use it. Slightly different. Oh, I'm sure it works. Yeah, don't worry.
Let's see.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't.
I need to turn it on, probably.
Technical difficulties.
Okay.
Oh,
there we go. All right.
Right. Thank you, Michael.
So we're going to make a really smooth.
Has anybody made mayo or aioli from scratch before? Because then you know, like if you're doing it in a food processor and you're pouring in the oil and that's what makes it thick, that's essentially what we're doing here with this dressing. And it really feels like magic every time. I don't know about you guys, but when I make something that's emulsified and it turns out and it doesn't break, because it breaking is truly the worst thing in the world, especially when you're working in a restaurant and you're making a ton of things, you're moving at the speed of light, and your emulsification breaks and then you don't know how to salvage it. It really is a terrible feeling. Everyone's watching you. They've seen that you've messed up. It's very hard. It's a very demoralizing experience. So every time it happens, I feel really good about myself.
Values who we are. Remains vigilant.
There we go. Nice. Ooh,
Defies
creamy.
those in our
So
way.
nice.
Tastes pretty good.
Do you have any other vinaigrette
stands
tips?
for
It's hard to
community.
make a perfect
Hard to make a good
vinaigrette.
Yeah, I mean,
Here
it's all
on the
about
West
balance. I would say that
Coast,
you're
we're
the
at the
vinaigrette
center of
master,
it all.
if there's one
Thanks.
among us.
I love a sauce.
Los Angeles Times.
Sauce queen.
A
The
detail.
state of what's next.
Yeah, that's any other vinaigrette tips. They need more salt than you think, generally.
Yeah.
And we like to, especially in our restaurants, we really like to make vinaigrettes that are finished products, so we're not adding salt every single time we're mixing them, because that obviously is less consistent.
We have really tried to take that into account, actually, with the recipes in the book. Granted, your products will always be different, but we have tried to take into account that it will be perfectly seasoned. But like anything, tasting is king.
I mean, I'm just saying, the big ones.
Let me
You've
enjoy
got
this
that. I've
moment.
got this. It's
I have
like
a lot of
gotten a lot
decorating to do.
softer
Where should
now.
we
You can
start?
see that
I
it
gotta
like
move my
will
things out here.
bend, whereas before it would have just snapped. So that's what we're looking for. We're gonna pour off some of this water that has come out because of our salt. I might squeeze it a bit.
And you know, you can do this if you're planning on making this for a party or something. You could even do this the night before and then just pull it out of the fridge, ready to go, combine it with your vinaigrette, and shave your...
Did somebody do it the night before?
So you can see these are...
So much softer. They're like so floppy, which we love, compared to these. But I don't know, would you have a preference on which one you want to use? We'll use
No,
the
I mean,
fresh we can use all of it.
We can use a combo.
Okay. Great.
What kind of apples do you recommend for this?
We use Granny Smith, or like a green apple.
A classic green apple. We like the tartness for this recipe, but any apple will do. But I think something with a little acidity would be really nice, considering it's a salad, and the kohlrabi doesn't have any tartness at all.
Just all sweet. So it'd be better to have a tart apple for sure.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna get back to the mandolin. We're gonna cross our fingers. I don't like keeping the first slice or two on an apple, because to eat that, no thank you. Gonna get rid of that.
Noted. 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Oh, we gotta move.
I'm gonna chop up.
We're talking too much about our love of kohlrabi.
But I did want to ask you, you're doing brunch now at the restaurant.
We are.
So
You
happy
just
you
started?
asked.
You just started.
We just started yesterday. We Oops. We used to be open all day before the pandemic, and now we are open for brunch on weekends again, and it's a big, big win for us. We're very excited. So please come by. We've got a lot of fun things. Not a kohlrabi salad, but some other delicious things. Maybe a kohlrabi salad in in winter. Who knows?
I think
the kohlrabi
be...
will end up in a chopped salad.
In a
perhaps.
chopped salad. Yeah, chopped salad. You could put a schnitzel on your chopped salad if you wanted to.
I think a lot of people will be excited about the return of the Turkish-ish breakfast.
Oh, yes.
We are excited about it as well. And our shakshuka, we have a really lovely chicken schnitzel sandwich and a veggie sandwich.
And then we have the fricka polenta, which is also an old favorite with confit lamb and an egg.
Oops.
Oh, wait, there's macadamia nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
In this? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, have we not mentioned that yet?
No.
We gotta mention it.
Adding a little bit of luxury. Though I will have to say, like, macadamia nuts have their place, but they're
low on your list.
They're low
of
on
nuts.
my list of nuts.
I like them a lot. They're delightful. They're a real treat. They feel like you're in the tropics. I don't know. You're in
It's
Hawaii.
true.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and again, I think it's unexpected because people think walnuts.
And also, you know, we have this kind of humble salad with an onion vinaigrette and this root vegetable. I mean, not a root, but this cruciferous vegetable.
This vegetable that seems like a root vegetable. And yeah, we decided to go with macadamia nuts, so you could easily go nut-free. You could go herbs or some greens in place of the macadamia nuts if you like, but I think we just go for it.
Yeah, and then
we really love tossing salad with our hands.
Just gonna go all in.
Sort of my preference, but considering there's no sink up here that's functional, this is just a prop sink.
And I don't think you have any gloves. So.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use these tongs. And we make it really, really creamy because we like sauce.
But then we're also going to remove it from the bowl and we can plate it with a little bit less. But we're giving it a good marinade.
Good dousing.
That looks delicious.
I'm excited for you to try it. I really love the salad. You originally made this vinaigrette for a holiday.
Yeah, it was for like an Eastern European themed New Year's.
What was the dressing?
This.
Apple, was it this?
Yeah, it was this.
Oh, okay. It was
With-
this exact salad.
And then we've also done it for Hanukkah, but we put no macadamia nuts and
dill?
Lovage.
You said that earlier.
It's good.
Delicious. I'm going to add a little more salt, I think.
Yeah.
It looks so creamy without having any dairy.
I know, isn't that crazy? Completely vegan, really luxurious, but very humble. It's a really nice combo, and we highly recommend that you try it at home. And it's in our book, and now we're going to plate it.
And we'll be over there signing copies.
Yeah.
If you all want to say hello.
If you're interested. Okay, kohlrabi apple salad coming at you. And there's no right or wrong way, but are you going to put this just on top, or do you want to mix it in at all? Maybe a combo?
Yeah, we can put a little bit in.
And layer in some?
Sure.
Yeah. Gorgeous. Love
Put
it.
some little.
Yeah. I like this teamwork.
It's going some little piles.
Really good. Really good stuff.
It looks nice.
It looks really nice.
It's kind of a demure salad.
Very demure, very mindful. You know.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for this wonderful winter salad.
Thank you so much.
There
for
you go.
having
Thanks
us.
for hanging out with us the whole time.
Yeah.
I know. Really fun.
Absolutely.
God, we can't just always talk to each other.
Does anyone get to try it?
Oh, yeah. You want to try it?
If anyone wants to try it, they're more than welcome to.
It's a kohlrabi apple salad. You want to try it?
We don't have. Well, I guess we've got a couple of forks. We weren't told to make it for everyone to try, but
you totally can.
Totally can offer it up. Happy to. You should certainly try it.
I would love to.
There you go. Lunch for one.
It's delicious. delicious. Onions and celery seed and macadamia nut. I hope that everybody gets to try some. Thank
Any
you so much.
questions?
Yeah, if y'all want to grab some forks from the
somewhere.
people.
It's maybe a little bit wacky, but feel free. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you for having us. Thank you to the
everyone.
LA Times Food Bowl and to the LA Times and to Betty.
Don't forget to stop by the merch booth for your food section hats.
Come say hi.
And come by for brunch Saturday and Sunday.
Purchase a copy of Kismet. And the Sarahs will be, can I call you the Sarahs?
Yeah. Sure, yeah, everybody else does.
Sarah Squared.
Yeah.
They'll be signing copies at the Pages bookstore booth right behind you. Buy 2 copies in case you want to cook from it more than once. And no, went over everyone's head.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Betty.
All right.
That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We really filled.
We went long.
filled our time.
What is up, everybody? It's Chef Michael from People vs. Food, one of the best YouTube channels where we play silly, fun food games. But today, we're here at the LA Times Food Bowl. I'm hanging out with my friends from the channel. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Trevor.
I'm Ashley. I'm Jair.
We just saw an excellent demo, but right now we're going to play a game using 5 of some of my favorite bites of the day. It's really hard to pick favorites. These are 5 excellent ones, though. What I'm going to do right now with you guys, I'm going to ask you some Los Angeles food history trivia.
Ooh.
If you are able to get a question correct, I will hand you one of these bites. You know what?
Okay.
I may even let you pick.
Whoa.
We'll see.
Okay.
All right. Question number 1. Which Los Angeles restaurant invented the French dip?
The French dip?
Philippe's.
I believe it's Cole's.
No, it's mine.
No, it's Cole's.
It's Philippe's.
You're technically both correct. Philippe's and Cole's. They both claim to have invented the French dip in the early 1900s. However, since Ashley answered first, I'm going to give it to her.
Okay, yes.
And I'm going to let you pick one of these 3.
I want to try this one.
Great.
Yes.
Go ahead and show it off. This is from Oybar. It is an everything bagel agnolotti.
And everything. Oh.
Honestly, seems perfect for you. I know you're a pasta queen.
Yeah, this is
I
fair.
am.
This is fair and cool.
No, you'll listen. She got it first. She answered first.
We could have split something.
Oh my god. That
What
is
does it
the
taste like?
best thing I've ever had. Oh my god.
Do you need me to hold that?
Yes.
No, you're gonna hold
It
that.
is so cheesy and it's like the perfect level of savoriness.
Tastes like an everything bagel?
It tastes like an everything bagel with like cream cheese as well.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome.
That is amazing.
Have you
And
ever had a bagel pasta hybrid?
No, but now I can cross that off my bucket list. Oh my god, that's
Pretty awesome.
amazing.
All right, let's move on to question number 2.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm gonna win.
Which Los Angeles restaurant had a hand in starting the gourmet pizza craze in California, using toppings such as smoked salmon and caviar?
Yeah, that's my BFF. That's my buddy, Wolfgang Puck at Spago.
No.
That is correct.
That's my best friend.
How
Yeah.
about that, Trevor?
Yeah, I have a picture with him. He spoke at my culinary school graduation.
Aw.
So
Are you serious?
we're tight.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can he even be here with us? This isn't fair. This isn't fair.
Did you sure you don't want to be the chef?
I'm good. I'm good for now.
All right, cool. We'll go ahead and pick one of these.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna pizza.
Great.
Oh, the pizza!
Go ahead and take that first slice.
Oh,
This is from Petramale Pizza.
Oh. How is it? Looks
That's scrumptious. That's a scrumptious. That's such a good piece of pizza.
It looks amazing. It looks like it's New York style. I want to take a little bite too, honestly, but I'll hold back.
sharing is caring.
Question number 3.
Okay.
Which Los Angeles-born chef and restaurateur started a bread craze in Los Angeles with her famous La Brea Bakery?
I know this one.
I don't know the last name though.
Nancy. There's another hint.
Nancy.
She is talking today later on the stage.
Nancy Silverton.
Nancy Silverton is correct, Jair. Excellent.
I only got one.
By all means, pick something from the table.
I let you get it. You let me get it?
Yeah,
Because
I
you
let
were
you
a
get it.
mouthful of the pizza you already won.
Which one are you gonna do?
I think I want this one.
That is Northern Thai Food Club's chicken cow soy. One of
Oh.
my absolute favorites in Los Angeles to begin with.
So good.
I'm so excited that they're here today.
Oh.
I've already had 2 bowls of that myself.
No, don't look at me like that. Incredible.
We'll take you over there after and get you one. Don't worry.
Done.
Yeah.
It smells so good.
You better not take a bite. That's against the rules.
All right. Question number 4.
Let's go.
This restaurant serves rotisserie chicken, combining
Yeah,
the...
no.
Let me finish the question. They combine Greek and Latin flavors. They opened in 1969, and they still, to this day, remain family-owned with multiple locations.
Dino's.
Dino's famous chicken. Congratulations, Ashley.
Oh my god, I can.
You have one round 4. Please pick one.
Oh my god, I'm gonna do these ones.
Do you know what that is?
It's deep fried. I don't know.
It is a deep-fried cheese curd Cobb salad from
Oh.
Agnes Cheesery and Restaurant.
Wait here. Someone hold this.
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you.
I have never seen a salad with cheese curds in it,
Me
so
either.
that's...
Deep fried. The perfect bite.
Oof.
I don't know. Can you guys hear the crunch?
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
That feels like ASMR.
That is
That
amazing.
is so close to your
I didn't
mouth.
hear it. Wow.
Being a Midwesterner, this is like the key to me eating a salad.
Okay, quick,
Putting
do the
cheese
last
curds on
question
it.
so I can
All
get
right,
it.
all right. Last question. This restaurant currently only pops up on Fridays and serves pizza out of the Venice Church parking lot in Mar Vista.
It's Petromali.
It is Petromali Pizza! Hey, you got a little leg up on the competition.
I'm having another.
You want to have another slice? We've also got this Dino's empanada from Dino's Chicken, which we just talked about. I'm going to eat this one because I didn't get to eat anything
Give
yet.
me that. You eat that. Ready? Why'd you give him another mic? What happened? How
Enjoy
did
the
this
rest of the
work?
day. Keep watching us on LATimes.com, on X. We're going to be here at the Food Bowl all the rest of the day. We have amazing demos coming up. Make sure you stay tuned. We're having so much fun. I hope you guys are having as much fun watching.
It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. Gotta say,
This is amazing.
what a game. Did anybody want
Boxes all day long, in my heart a hero song. Onward to my destiny, the warrior inside of me.
Adventurous, now heed my call. Myth-Pharaoh will never fall.
I am thrilled to be at the LA Times Food Bowl. Silly enough to say yes to having both my restaurants here. So I have a sandwich shop called Jeff's Table in Highland Park, and I have a little bar bistro in Studio City called Oi Bar. And we are both here serving food and being a part of this crazy food scene. It's great. This is my first time at Food Bowl. It is really exciting. It's an incredible event. Today, Jeff's Table is serving our Dirty Baby sandwich. It is a smoky, spicy chicken melt on challah bread. It's Holla because it's Hokkaido milk bread meets challah bread. So it's got a little bit of both things going on. Super fluffy, lots of smoke, a little bit of spice or chili crisp in there. And then at Oi Bar, today we are making our smoked salmon yaki onigiri, which is sort of a Jewish bagel meets a Japanese bar snack. I had a pretty long career, 30 plus years as a television writer. I wrote for some shows that people know about, mostly on the comedy side, and reached a point where, my wife said, I was always that guy who said, people would say like, oh, when are you going to open a restaurant? I'd go, I am too smart for that. I am, and now I have two, so not so smart anymore. My wife said one day, if you're going to do something with food, you should do it while you can still stand up. Our kids are grown, our life is in pretty good shape, and so we decided to take a chance. And the first thing that happened was Jeff's Table. Jeff's Table is a little micro deli hidden in the back of a liquor store in Highland Park. It's tucked behind the old vintage beer box space. There used to be a speakeasy kind of sandwich shop in there. You had to say a code to get it, but they pulled that out, and now you just have to find us behind the beer box. And we do what I say is food that's a little bit East Coast, a little bit Jewish, and a whole lot of Los Angeles, a lot of flavor crossing celebrations, some Chinese flavors or Japanese flavors or Indian flavors or Mexican flavors mixed with kind of classic deli sandwiches. So our Reuben has a little bit of our own Chinese chili crisp mixed in. So yeah, it's a lot of interesting flavors all mixed in there. Wow. So I think the most exciting thing about being at Food Bowl is actually what you're describing, which is how much of a celebration of the just tapestry of food that is available in Los Angeles. From a street burrito or pizza made out of the back of a truck to some of the finest food in like the most polished food in the city is being served here, and it's really incredible. We have Anajak Thai, we have Evil Cooks, we have Baru, we have like a fine dining tasting menu and a street side omakase in the same spot at the same time. To be with that group of cooks, that level of quality of creativity and the culinary scene of Los Angeles, it's amazing.
The world looks to California to answer the hard questions, for redemption, to introduce the unfamiliar, to be resilient. Because California bounces back, holds us accountable, values who we are, remains vigilant, defies those in our way, and stands for community. Here on the West Coast, we're at the center of it all. Los Angeles Times, the state of what's next.
love the food scene.
And we also came out with this cookbook.
We have a cookbook.
So we're really excited to do a little demo of one of the recipes that you can find in this book.
It's a very simple sort of fall into winter salad. It's a shaved kohlrabi and apple salad with a celery seed,
like onion
vinaigrette, kind of like a creamy but dairy-free vegan vinaigrette.
And kohlrabi is an underappreciated vegetable, and so we're trying to spread the word.
Spread the joy of kohlrabi. Kismet's been around almost 8 years. Can't believe we can say that now.
No, we are we're not young anymore.
We're not spring chickens anymore. And we started as an all-day restaurant from morning to night. We wanted to kind of be a neighborhood cafe where people come in and out. It's like a little bit casual, but a little bit nice, to have a good glass of wine, a very fresh Mediterranean-inflected, California produce-focused meal, really focused on sharing. And after the pandemic, we've reopened as dinner time only. We've actually recently reintroduced brunch, so we really hope everybody shows up for it. And the book just kind of made sense as a natural extension of the work that Sarah and I have done both during Kismet and previous to Kismet. We've been working together for probably close to 12 years now.
And also, after we opened Kismet Rotisserie, which is our more casual offshoot that focuses on rotisserie chicken and vegetable sides and spreads, and really meant to provide food for people who are looking for healthy, quick, casual, reliable, just like everyday food. And this book also really showcases some of those recipes as well. So the book is a very good representation of all of the work that we've done together, and I think is very usable and has like the spirit of the work that we do together. Really,
we always want to remind people that while we are restaurant chefs, we also think it's very important to make a cookbook for the home cook, and that's what we really tried to do. We didn't want it to be unapproachable. We didn't want it to be difficult. We really wanted people to be able to get it dirty, get it in their kitchen, make everything from it.
Boxes all day long, in my heart a hero song. Onward to my destiny, the warrior inside of me.
Adventurous, now heed my call. If there will never fall.
morning. We are at the last day of the LA Food Bowl at the Paramount Backlot, and we are here with Chef Ludo Lefebvre. What are you serving today?
So we're serving today something totally not French.
Not French.
Not French. No butter, no cream, no nothing, no dairy. I think we have a little bit dairy, parmesan. It's like a tapioca. It's like a fried tapioca with parmesan and milk.
Ooh.
It's very weird. I know it sounds. I don't know how to describe this dish.
Okay.
But people love it. So it's the most important thing.
And it's dairy-free.
No, we have milk and parmesan.
Okay.
So it's gluten-free, shellfish, vegetarian, nuts-free.
Wow.
Voilà.
That's
so
amazing.
Yeah, it's like a little cube, and it's like tapioca, cooked in milk, with parmesan, salt, pepper. After we put in the fridge, on the sheet tray, we cut a cube and we fry it.
That sounds
amazing.
Delicious.
It's just, guys, I don't want to say my English, but it's just, it's the texture, it's amazing, the flavor, it's crispy, it's moist. I love tapioca. I'm obsessed with tapioca.
What is it in French?
Nothing. I get this inspiration when I was in Brazil. I went to Brazil, and they use a lot of tapioca. Okay. And that's why I decided to use tapioca.
What are you most excited to try here today from the other chefs that are?
I mean, I have my favorite restaurant here.
Okay.
You know, with this?
No, what is it?
And I'm a big fan for a long time, before everybody, before the LA time.
For everybody.
Baru.
Baru is amazing.
That's it. And I love also Maison Mato. I
Okay.
think they have a great sandwich and they have amazing bread over there. And I don't know, I did not. That's what I see now. But I'm excited about to Baru because I love Korean food, and the food is very unique. It's a lot of flavor, texture, and I love fermentation. So I'm
They
very
do
excited
all of that very well.
Exactly. You know, so I'm very excited about that.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And we're very excited to try
thank
it.
you.
If you guys are here, you definitely need to come and try that out.
Arancini with parmesan.
Arancini with Parmesan. That's tapioca.
That's tapioca.
Yeah.
But I call it arancini because people, when they eat it, say, "What is this? It's so good." And I don't know how to describe that. Come to try after.
Yes,
you should
we
come
will
to
be
try
back and we will
tell me
try.
if you can find a name for this dish.
Okay.
If you can help me.
It's your creation. It's your invention.
No, but maybe you're gonna have a good idea. Okay, you should call it like that, chef. Because I have no idea how to call this dish.
Take it,
right.
Nicole. Take it.
We will. We will be back.
I challenge you.
Okay.
Okay.
And you guys should definitely keep watching this live stream. We will be live all weekend. You can follow along on latimes.com and on X. Again, we're Nicole and Michael from People vs. Food. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
All right, welcome again. Thank you all for coming out to the 2024 Los Angeles Times Food Bowl presented by City National Bank. Thank you guys. You guys are all doing great today. I love it. For everyone else grabbing a bite, we still have some seats available. Come on, it's nice and shady now and nice, getting a little bit of a breeze. So without further ado, she is an entrepreneur, a content creator, social media maven, the CEO of Feel Good Foodie, and also has her own line of oats called Oath Oats. Please welcome the author of Feel Good Foodie, Yumna Jawad.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. So excited to be making a recipe for my cookbook today, and I'm going to be doing some cookbook signings afterwards as well. So stay tuned. You can grab a book, and we can have some fun, chit-chat, take some pictures, and talk about all the good food. So today I'm making a shrimp scampi with sizzling tomatoes. I love the sizzling part of this recipe. It's just like screams to all your senses. It smells good, it looks beautiful, and it tastes so good. So to start out, we are going to take the shrimp right here, and we're just gonna go ahead and season it. So I am just going to season it very simple with some paprika, salt, and pepper. When I first came up with this recipe, I really just wanted a good old-fashioned shrimp scampi, but I wanted to just push it a little bit and test out a few different things with it. And so I added the bursting tomatoes and the vegetable broth to make it more saucy and just kind of create something you can dip with bread. But also I wanted something that like gave a nod to my Mediterranean background. So I added like a little vinegar in there to give it some acid. So I'm gonna start by seasoning the shrimp. There are a couple here that aren't peeled or deveined, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So the way you do it is you just kind of expose the shrimp a little this way. You just kind of open it up. And then just kind of like squeeze the tail and grab it out. It's a little harder to do it than expected. So a lot of times when I'm cooking shrimp, people ask me like what kind of shrimp to buy. I always just like to buy just any kind of large shrimp, and I try to make sure that I usually will buy frozen, because unless you know the person who caught it the day before, it's probably not fresh. So I always will just buy frozen shrimp. It makes for really quick meals, because then the next day it's super easy to throw it in cold water and thaw it. So I'm just gonna peel that. And I wasn't gonna get my hands dirty, but now they're dirty. I'm just gonna throw it back here. I'll wash my hands really quickly. Oh, actually, I'm just gonna use a paper towel for now. Okay, and then we're just gonna add a little bit of salt. I think it's kind of crackly. A little bit of salt and a little bit of black pepper. And the reason I didn't wash my hands is because I want to go in there and really just mix everything together with my hands. I love the paprika in here. It just gives it a beautiful color. And then the salt and pepper is just super simple as well. So just mix everything together like that. And then now I really do need to wash my hands. So just let me do that right now. Okay. All right, so for those of you who don't know, I'm gonna share a little background about me. I've got paprika in my fingernails, and as I slowly clean them out, just share a little bit about me. So I actually started out working in marketing for about 10 years, and then when my son was born, I was on maternity leave, and I decided to just, start a hobby and just share the meals that I was making for my family on Instagram. I thought it would be fun to just share whatever it is that I was cooking and just put it out there and just share the things that I was learning. So I decided to learn how to cook publicly. And I didn't realize that by putting myself out there, people wanted recipes from me, because I thought, I'm just sharing like a really quick and easy, quinoa bowl that I'm making, and I didn't think much of it. But people saw it as an opportunity to like learn a new recipe, and they started asking me for recipes. They're like, "Can I have that recipe for that like quinoa chicken bowl you made?" And I'm like, "Wait, why do you want my recipe? I'm not a chef. I don't have like a culinary training, any kind of professional background." And so they were really interested in it. So I slowly started sharing my recipes on Instagram, and then started a website a couple years later, and then people kept asking for a cookbook. And at the same time too, I'm like, why do you want a cookbook? All my recipes are on the website. But I slowly started hearing from people that they love this tangible copy, to be able to hold it in their hand, to be able to bookmark recipes, and to just kind of have something in their home to flip through if they're just kind of wondering what to make for dinner one day. So I decided to go on a venture to write this cookbook. So I am just chopping up some garlic right now, because every good Mediterranean meal starts with some good garlic. So I'm going to chop some garlic and then move on to the next part of our recipe. So we have a skillet right here that's just been heating on medium heat. And whenever I want to add a lot of flavor to something, instead of just using oil, I like to use oil and butter. If you just use butter, it'll burn really quickly. And so I'll start out with some butter. And then I also like to add a little bit of oil, because it just controls the temperature and makes sure the butter is not burning. So I will add that as well. And then we're just going to wait for that to cook. And there's nothing more beautiful than sizzling butter on a skillet. So everything happens in one pan in this dish, which is what I love. I mean, there is the shrimp happening here as well, but aside from that, it all happens in this one pan. So once we have the butter all melted, I'm just going to add the garlic to it and the crushed red pepper. I'll lift this all up. Put the garlic in here. Actually, a really good knife. Oh, and I love this tip. They've got a paper towel down here. If you ever have a cutting board that's constantly moving, highly recommend that. And so then we'll add the crushed red pepper to this as well. So when I finally decided to write this book, I was trying to think about what do I want to do and what do I want to write about? And so I decided to just kind of lean on my background and just, I really just was so inspired by my mom and the way I grew up cooking and the way I grew up like eating food. So I was born in Africa. I was born in a small country called Congo, and we lived in Sierra Leone. And while living there, we didn't really have a lot of grocery stores, maybe like one grocery store, maybe like 3 restaurants. So my mom made everything from scratch. Like literally, she would labor over a big tub of yogurt. Like she would make like many tubs of yogurt. She would make her own tomato paste. Like everything was from scratch. And so I would watch my mom cooking, and I was just exhausted watching her. I mean, she would literally be in the kitchen for hours. And I'm like, I want nothing to do with that. I hate cooking. I'm just going to hire someone to do it all for me. So, then growing up, so we come here when I'm 11 years old, and my mom all of a sudden goes to Kroger, goes to Target, and she's like, wow, they have yogurt already in a tub. We've got tomato paste in a can, and thousands of other conveniences as well. And so she slowly starts to cook just faster and easier way. But to me, as an 11-year-old kid, I didn't notice the difference. To me, I was still having these amazing meals, but I didn't see my mom in the kitchen for hours and hours. And so what ended up happening was she was starting to infuse all these everyday dishes, like making spaghetti, for example, but she would put 7 spice in the ground beef in it. Or she was making baked chicken, but she would rub it with tahini on it and put it in the oven so that it would just have like this nutty flavor. So I wasn't noticing the difference because it felt like we were still having our same meals, but also these American meals we were having just had a bit of my, home in them. So I, started growing up eating that way, and it wasn't Mediterranean food growing up. It wasn't this like trendy, cool thing. It was just the way we lived and the way we ate. And so it was super just like everyday life. And so now it's 2024. Mediterranean food is so hot. I go to like American restaurants and things just have like Lebanese swirled on them, and falafel is everywhere, and hummus is just like ketchup nowadays, and it's so amazing. And so I'm embracing it so much more. But I still think that it can be intimidating for some people. So the whole point of this book is just to give you these everyday recipes that are elevated by Mediterranean ingredients. And so you're gonna have, a yogurt marinated chicken thighs, for example, which is one of my favorite recipes in the book. And it's just a simple, chicken that's coated in some good spices and baked in the oven, but it's got yogurt all over it. And that yogurt is the slight nod to my Mediterranean background. It gives it this like creaminess, juiciness, and tenderness. And if you've never smothered chicken in yogurt before and baked it, it's something that you definitely have to try. Okay, my garlic is smelling good. It's sizzling. I may have to go one temperature higher. But once you start to see the bubbles in the garlic, we don't want to burn it. So I think I might go a little bit higher. I'm going to go a little bit higher. So then I started to write this book, and I started sharing some of the recipes with my mom, and she was like, wait, this is not traditional. What are you doing? And this is not, and so most of the recipes in this book are not traditional. Like there's a handful of them, like tabbouleh or falafel or my lebne, that are going to be super traditional, but that's only about 10, 15 of them. The rest of them are going to be things that you're used to making, but I'm adding something really special to it that makes it just feel more unique and a little part of my Lebanese in there. So I think it's super exciting. One of the examples is like my banana bread, for example. It is a simple Midwest banana bread, but I swap half the butter for tahini. And once you do that, it gives it the fat that you need in banana bread, but at the same time, it gives it this nuttiness, this rich flavor, and it's the best banana bread you'll ever have. It's so good. Okay, so our butter is finally sizzling now. This took a little minute. And I'm just gonna go ahead and add the tomatoes. And now we want these tomatoes to burst. Like literally, we want to hear them burst. We want to be able to take the back of the spoon and just like literally pop them. This is where I'm probably going to regret not wearing an apron, but I'm just going to go with it. And then once the tomatoes burst, then I'll add the vegetable broth on top of it. So while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and chop some parsley. The parsley is going to be for finishing the recipe. So I'm just going to take a little bundle. And if you don't know, when you store parsley in your fridge, cover it with like a damp paper towel in like a plastic bag if you can, or a paper towel, and it'll literally last you weeks. So I treat it like this, like a plant in my fridge, and it lasts for so long. So it works really well that way. So yeah, my mom started seeing the recipes and she's like, I don't know about this. You're going to upset some people. This is not truly authentic Lebanese because this is a shortcut to it. And this is not truly American because isn't it offensive to add tahini to banana bread or to add like sumac to a crisp? And I'm like, well, no, this is the joy of cooking nowadays. It's, the fusion of so many flavors. But the way that I do it feels so approachable. It's not intimidating at all. So I'm going to need a little more parsley because it's just so good. Chop this up. So the process of doing the cookbook actually took like 2 years, which is so crazy because they tell you it's like birthing a child, and it truly is like birthing a child because you start out by writing this big proposal and getting it approved, and then when it does, like you're testing 125 recipes, and every recipe that I did in the book was tested and retested by 3 of us. And so it is just like tried and true so many times, and many times like my book has been out since May, and many times authors will come out and say, oh, sorry, there was a typo, or there's literally no typos, there's no mistakes. We enjoyed cooking all the recipes and making them so many times that it's just, made to perfection. So after doing that, we test all the recipes, and I start writing all the recipes. And this is my favorite part because I got to tell some just like really fun stories. And there is a person on Amazon who was like, we don't want your life story, so please, I just want the recipes. And it's only one person. So the rest of the people, you're going to get just some simple stories about how, for example, I would go to the beach in Lebanon growing up, and we would have these carrots that, on the beach. It was just so interesting because here on the beach, you'd have like a burger and fries. In Lebanon, you get this like plastic cup with carrots inside of it, cumin, lemon juice, and olive oil. Not olive oil, salt. So salt, cumin, and lemon juice. And it's so refreshing and so delicious. And it just reminds me of my summers in Lebanon. And so I took that idea and I turned it into a warm and savory dish. So you can still have it cold, or you can bake it all in the oven, and it's the best carrots you'll ever have. So there's simple recipes like that remind me of my childhood, or summers going to Lebanon and growing up that way. So there is one person who's like, I don't want your childhood stories, but I love those stories so much because it just gives you like a sentence or two about the meaning of the recipe, and it just gives each recipe a little depth, and it helps you think of new ways to enjoy that recipe too. Like, hey, I can just eat it cold actually, or I can have it warmed. So so I love that part, and so every recipe in the book just has a little paragraph above it that tells you just a fun story about how I came up with that recipe, what it means to me, and just kind of entices you to try the recipe as well. And then you sit around and you wait for your book to get printed in China for like a whole year. And then you finally give birth to this child, this baby, this book of mine, which came out in May. And when it came out, it became an instant bestseller, and I'm so happy and so honored to have that. And now I just get to, cook from the book and just get to enjoy all these recipes and share them with people like you guys. So I am crushing these. Oh, they're looking so good. If you look over here, they are just starting to slowly, I'm going to turn on the heat because we still want to make sure not to burn the garlic, but we just want to make sure that the tomatoes continue to get nice and saucy because this is what's going to create the sauce for the dish, right? So we put them there. And one of the greatest unexpected things about having my book out in the world is my daughter, who's 13 years old, just cooking from it literally every week. She's like, I love having this here. She'll just grab it. And one of her favorite recipes is my olive oil muffin recipe because she literally is like, Mom, it's so easy. It all goes in one bowl. But the way my daughter cooks or bakes, she makes the biggest mess in the world. It's like a recipe that would take you guys like 12 to 15 minutes to put together, bake it in the oven, and wash the dishes. For her, she has like everything out. She uses the 1/4 of a teaspoon and the 1/2 a teaspoon. I'm like, you can use one for both, right? You could just double it if if you think about it. And she just makes the biggest mess, and she's like, this is the best recipe because it's so easy. It's made in one bowl. I'm like, for some people. But she puts it together so well, and it just gives her just this huge sense of accomplishment that the recipe is just easy. And she has these beautiful muffins, and everybody compliments her on it, like in the house. And she just has this like feeling of just like joy and accomplishment, like making something herself. And I think that it works really well for a 13-year-old, but I think it also can work well for you if you're 30 or 40 or 50 or 60. Like that sense of accomplishment that you put things together and made something that's heartwarming and brings you joy and brings the people that you love joy. It's just the best feeling ever.
We're at the center of it all.
Let's get back to these tomatoes.
Los Angeles Times.
Okay, they're looking so good. And so now I am going to turn up the heat, and I'll add some vegetable broth on top of it.
It's your garage.
Mom,
and I don't know if you guys can smell that garlic, but this is what my house smells like every day. Like, if I had a candle, this is what it would smell like. It would be garlic and salt and pepper and like little cilantro.
No. I forgot. Your housewarming
smells so good. So I'm just going to continue mixing this. And now I am going to take the back of my spoon and start to encourage those tomatoes to burst because the juices from that is really going to create the best sauce for this recipe. And what I like about this too is that when you're done with it, you can actually serve it with rice, you can serve it with pasta, or you can just, the way I have it in the book, it's just like crusty bread, just dip it right in there. I just think it's good to have it with some carbs, so the carbs can be pasta or it can just be a good crusty bread. But it just tastes so good that way. Okay, and so now that we have this sauce, we want to just mix it a little bit for it to continue to thicken. And if you are watching your calories or your carbs or things like that, you don't need to actually add any of that to it. You can just enjoy it as is. It's a very filling, delicious, complete meal as it is. Okay, now it's time for the shrimp. So I kept the tail on because I think it just looks really pretty if you're serving this as an appetizer, just like the way that they look with the tail, but you can totally take the tail off like I did on a couple of them. So I'll add the shrimp there. There's one guy who doesn't want to come out. There's one guy. Whoop. There he is. And I'll turn up the heat again because every time you add something to the pan, the cold temperature of whatever you added is going to just bring down the temperature of everything. So we want to go ahead and mix it again. And I just want to separate it all so that the heat is touching all the pieces of shrimp without anything kind of moving there. So, yeah. So I think that's... And I think that this dish needs feta. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, this could use some feta cheese. So if you guys don't know, a few years ago, there was a big phenomenon of the baked feta pasta. And what's interesting is like the recipe came from Finland, and somebody had made it really popular. They made it in Finland, and there was an American blogger that had shared it on her website. And so I had heard about it, and I was like, this is genius. You put a block of feta cheese in the middle, surrounded by these gorgeous bursting tomatoes. You bake it in the oven, and it creates this gorgeous sauce. And then you add pasta on top of it. And if you've never tried it before, it just it tastes as good as it looks. Like, it just speaks to all of your like senses all at once. So I made it, and then it went completely viral, and I became known as the baked feta pasta queen, which is really cool. And I got to be in Vogue magazine, which I never thought I'd be in Vogue magazine, but it was for food, which is really amazing. And so I got to make it all over, and just like it's been so cool. So since then, my family officially hates feta because I just put it in everything, but I've turned it into a dip. I've made a soup out of it. I've made like baked feta, like baked feta salmon, baked feta shrimp, I've made baked feta everything. And recently, my latest one is I did baked feta eggs. So you have a big block of feta cheese surrounded by 12 eggs. You crack them all. Takes you a minute. Put it in the oven. Well, it might take you more than a minute to crack 12 eggs, but like maybe 3 minutes. Put it all in the oven, and you basically make scrambled eggs in the oven with melty feta cheese. It's salty, it's creamy, it becomes fluffy, and it's so good. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, where's the feta? I'm like, we might have needed some extra feta cheese in here. But when you're cooking shrimp, it only needs 2 minutes per side, so don't overcook it. And I think that flipping them individually is great, because then you just make sure that everything gets cooked evenly on both sides. So yes, baked feta pasta is in the book. And what's really cool is actually there's an app that sells baked feta pasta now. Like if you look at the recipe, you can actually buy my version, my recipe of it online, which has just been really interesting to see, like how long it's come. So that was my little claim to fame. And so when I did the cookbook proposal, all my agent had to tell people was like, it's the baked feta pasta girl. They're like, we'll sign. We love her book. We want to do her book. So yes, it's a great recipe if you've never tried it, and you'll try all 17 iterations of it that I've created since then as well. Okay, so I'm turning all the shrimp over, and we're just going to give it like 2 to 3 minutes per side. I think all of them are turned around. But a lot of my popularity basically started, a lot of it was, I've been doing this since 2013, but nobody had really heard about me until baked feta pasta. And then like things exploded. And now it's like, I'm the girl, like people recognize me because of TikTok now, which is really cool to see. And it's just been amazing to see where it went. But also I think what's really cool is that during the pandemic, that's when a lot of people started to learn how to cook and want to cook. And a lot of people came to me because I just showed them like, every single day. I literally didn't go grocery shopping for, I want to say I think 5 or 6 weeks. I did not leave my house. We were all scared too. So my husband would go grocery shopping, and we got into more fights in those few weeks because he was just getting all the wrong ingredients. But in those few weeks, I trained him so well. So now he's like an expert chopper. But in those few weeks, I was just like minimizing how many times we were going to the grocery store. So I would just look at my pantry, and I'm like, all right, I've got chickpeas, I've got sun-dried tomatoes, and I've got olives and chicken. What are we making? And so I published a recipe every single day for 90 days on my website. And literally every day I would just wake up and like, okay, what do I have? What am I making? And the audience would get involved with me sometimes on Instagram, and I would show them what I have. And I made the best meals that way. And so sometimes it's just keeping a well-stocked pantry can really go a long way. And so that's what I keep doing. I always have, for example, like sun-dried tomatoes. I always have olives, and I always have like tuna, for example. I always have a can of beans, and so it just makes really quick meals. So something like this, you do need fresh tomatoes, but if you've got frozen shrimp in your freezer, everything else is super easy to make. You can change the vegetable broth to chicken broth. You could do different things like that. So I'm gonna mix everything together now, and it's looking so good. And so as part of that idea of like always having these pantry staples, what I did in this book is that I actually introduced 8 Mediterranean flavors that I really want you to use in your cooking, and they're kind of weaved in throughout the book. So it's things like dates, tahini, pomegranate molasses, rose water, lebne, which is like the yogurt, and then 3 different spices. And so throughout the book, I tell you, buy these things because 7 out of the 8 will last you like a year or 2 years. Lebne will last maybe like a month in your fridge, but you can make that from just yogurt and salt. So And you can buy it in a lot of places now too. So I tell you to get these 8 things. Once you buy them, they're all on Amazon. Everything is like under $10. And once you have them, like you can just make so many different meals, and I'll teach you how to integrate them throughout different dishes. So it doesn't feel intimidating at all, and you just feel like, all right, I've got this everyday simple cod recipe that's going in the oven, but I'm throwing za'atar on top of it. Or I'm making a crisp in the oven, but throwing sumac on top of it. And so all of that gets really elevated. So I'm gonna turn off the heat now, and then my little touch is I like to add a little acid when I'm done cooking. There's so much lemon juice in my book. You'll probably need to just buy like dozens of lemons. So I really wanted lemon juice in here, and my publisher is like, nope, we need to change some of these from lemon juice. So we're using red wine vinegar. Any acid will work. Just add a little like tablespoon on top, and it just brightens it so much. So anytime you're cooking something for a really long time, I like to use, a lot of fat when you're cooking it, and then add salt in the end to taste, and always hit it up with a little bit of acid. It just fully brightens it up, and it doesn't feel like you were cooking it for a long time. So now we're just gonna plate this gorgeousness, and I'll plate it right here so you guys can all see it. We'll put it all right here. And this serves about 4 people or 1 hungry mama by yourself. You can also, so there's a lot of sauce at the bottom too, but I encourage you to get all that extra sauce in there. And then, because we eat with our eyes, I do need to clean the plate. Make sure that it looks really good. And I think 95% of my recipes are garnished with parsley at the end, because we eat with our eyes. It makes it look so good. It makes it look so fresh. I almost put it on the sesame banana bread, but there's no garnish on that. But this one definitely needs that touch of parsley, because it just makes the dish look so beautiful. And like I like to say, so good. So there it is, a shrimp scampi. It took about 25, 30 minutes with my story, but you can make this at home in 10 minutes, I promise. Just turn up the heat, stay at the skillet the whole time. It's so easy. And the book is really full of all kinds of recipes like this that make you feel like, dang, like this looks like restaurant quality meal, but I cooked it with such simple ingredients, with simple things that you can easily find. You can use any kind of shrimp. You can also even, turn it up to like a fuller meal, like I said, with pasta or rice or anything like that. So clap of hands, who's gonna make this? Yeah, I love it. I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much. So lots more recipes like this, and you guys have been such an awesome audience. I am gonna do a cookbook signing right after this. I'd love to hear all your stories, meet all of you guys, and take some pictures. So thank you so much.
Yumna Jawad, please. Once again, you can buy copies of her book at Pages right behind you. Along with your purchase of a book, you get a free LA Times tote bag. Stick around in a half an hour, get some bites, come back. We've got Food General Manager Lori Ochoa with the acclaimed Nancy Silverton. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome, thank you.
Hey guys, it is the People versus Food team. We are back again with a recap of all of our favorite bites here at the LA Times Food Bowl at the Paramount Backlot. Have you guys been having a good time?
A great time. This has been my favorite day this year so far. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm having a good time, Nicole. It's really awesome. Great weather out here. A lot of good food. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Looking forward to the rest of the day. Got a lot of fun stuff going on, so happy to be here.
No clouds in the sky.
All right, first up, have you guys had this cheesecake? It is from Jonte. It is a burnt Basque cheesecake topped with Astra caviar.
Oh my. No, I have not. But I just recently got into caviar, so I feel like this is going to be my cup of tea.
Recently as in 20 minutes ago?
Yes.
Wait, and Trevor, you were telling us a really fun fact.
Oh, yeah. No, I love Basque cheesecake, but there's also a large population of Basque people in Idaho, where I'm from.
Wow.
Really cool.
The more you know, right?
Shout out to the Basque people in Idaho.
All right, you gotta try this.
Do you want to try it?
Well, yeah. Yeah, no, I'll have it.
All right, here you guys go.
That's awesome.
The cool thing about Jante is that they are a pop-up and they actually serve their cheesecake at Brothers Sushi and Oi Bar.
Oh.
So if you want to find them, be sure to check it out there.
Oh my.
It's so soft. It's literally like, it is so soft and creamy. It's awesome. It's funny, I'm actually not a huge cheesecake guy generally, but this is amazing.
It is so savory. It feels like I'm eating a cloud, if that even makes sense. This is heaven.
That little lemon zest on there.
Perfect.
How does it go with the caviar with the cheesecake?
That little bit of like
It's
salty.
you get that perfect balance. Nicole, do you also?
I'm good.
Oh my God.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Perfect
phenomenal.
balance.
Okay.
Very good.
Up
Amazing.
next
Very good.
from Lustig. It's a funny word. It's actually a German word that apparently means like funny or fun situations. They were serving up these chicken liver profiteroles.
Chicken liver?
Yes.
Chicken liver profiteroles.
Oh my God.
One bite. He said one bite.
One bite.
Everyone knows the rules. Go ahead.
Okay.
You need to do it one bite.
Me.
You need to do it one
You
bite.
think I can do it?
Yeah.
I
Alright.
don't know.
That's a big bite.
Okay, we're gonna
big
try
bite.
it.
You got it.
Ready?
Get in there.
Any ASMR?
Nice.
Immediately. I did it one bite.
So this restaurant is actually at Helms in Culver City, and the chef has a challenge for anyone who goes to his restaurant. If you're taller than the chef, you'll get a free dish.
I'm gonna get a free dish, guys. I'm
Yeah.
like
I think
6'7".
I got it in the bag.
You got it in the bag. Ash needs to wait a little bit.
I'm not on my tippy toes right now. This is how tall I am. I swear.
I'm actually bending down.
I'm this tall.
Okay, and then from Chef Ludo at Petit Trois, actually, Trevor, you helped Chef Ludo come up with the name for this dish, didn't you?
Yeah, well, so he described it as arancini with but made it tapioca. So I called it tapioncini.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's a thinker, but anybody?
Oh, it's super
This
good.
is your moment.
All right,
Yeah.
tapioncini.
You hear that crunch?
Oh my goodness,
How is it?
that's so good.
Dude,
That's
he needs
wonderful.
to add this to his menu because it is absolutely insane.
No, it is.
looks
It's
incredible.
arancini. It's arancini, but tapioca. It's amazing.
You said this isn't on the menu.
I have no idea.
Have a bite. Someone have a bite.
Try it. Try
Come
it.
on. It's so crispy. It's
Let's go for it.
Is it good?
Look at the inside. Like, incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. It's really good.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'll try it.
It's so good. Like, texturally, the
Yeah.
whole...
It's like cool and
It's
weird
amazing.
and insane and mind-boggling.
Wow.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite.
How salty it is. The crunch.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
you
it's
have like
perfectly
all
cooked.
these little balls floating around in your mouth.
Yeah, you
Good
do.
job. You do.
My favorite thing.
You do.
Mine too. Good job.
And Ashley, I know that you're a huge pizza fan. There's so much pizza here today. But if you guys did not check out Apollonia's Detroit-style square pizza, here you go, babe.
Benissimo. Oh, I love pizza.
Hey, this is my favorite bite of the day. Am I right? Come on.
Did you hear that crunch though? Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is the best pizza I have ever had.
It smells so good.
And then finally, I wanted to end with something sweet. So, fun fact, Chef Rocky and Chef Dan from Brique French Toast actually used to be The Rock's personal chefs.
The Rock? Like Dwayne?
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Mr. Johnson.
Wow.
Here, let me grab this. Do you want to get this all out of your way? I feel like we have to open this and show you guys how freaking beautiful.
Look at how incredible that looks.
It is a brioche French toast with a peanut butter, coconut maple syrup, and a vanilla bean whipped with toasted coconut on top.
Oh God!
I mean,
that clearly has Ashley.
I can.
What a day.
Wow.
Beautiful day. We got the Proclaimers playing on the speakers.
Oh.
I'd walk 500 miles for a bite of that French toast, am I right?
Yeah, you would. How's it?
How is it? Yeah.
That is perfection. It is so sweet and savory. It's so soft, yet, oh my god, it's like multiple flavors hit you at like one time.
Trevor's like, let me get some of that.
The coconut is like,
Oh,
here
yeah.
we go.
No way. Oh! That's how you do it.
And then you guys know, if you've been watching this live stream all weekend, we do have to end with one caviar bump.
Yeah, we got to.
If you are you sure? I mean, if you
insist.
I'm so sticky.
We're gonna get Trevor some napkins.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned because at 2:10, Nancy Silverton is gonna be up on the demo stage doing another cooking demo. Ooh, I will take this. And everything is live on latimes.com and on X. This has been absolutely incredible. We are the People versus Food team signing off. We've had so much fun.
Cheers.
We cannot
You
wait for
guys.
next year.
Woo!
So this year, we're actually showcasing the next rollout of Vias Tacos, which is our barbacoa en pozo, estilo Texcoco. So we built this red brick, beautiful underground oven, you could say, where we cook our lamb. And it's such an intense process. It took about 20 hours from beginning to end. But that's what we brought here. So we brought our barbacoa head to toe, farm to table. So I reached out to one of my vendors who works at the farmer's market, and I told him if he could get me some lamb. But we didn't stop there. We took it a step further. The lamb barbacoa alone is great, but to make it even better, we handmade our blue corn tortillas. We got that tortilla, we put a little bit of lamb in there, we rolled it up like a taquito, we deep fried it, and we put our Villa's touch on there. The Villa's touch is actually my grandma's touch, so I can't take credit for it. It's the way I grew up eating taquitos at her house, which with crema, salsa guacamole, because growing up we didn't have too much money. So my grandma, she would utilize, those 2 avocados to feed 10 people. And that's how she did it, by making a salsa out of the guacamole. We call it salsa guacamole. So, and then she would put queso ranchero fresco. So she would put the crema, the guacamole, and the queso fresco, and then she would put what we call chula's roasted salsa. Right, growing up, it didn't really have a name, but I wanted to share it with the world, essentially, and give my grandma credit, my chula. That's what I call her. So that's our Villa style, but it's my chula style. It's the way we grew up eating the taquitos at her house, all together on the dinner table. What I look forward to more than anything is catching up with some of my chef friends. So that's what I look forward to. I did have the pleasure of walking around and trying different foods, and I think my favorite bite so far of the night is Mariscos Jalisco. So I met the gentleman, the owner of Mariscos Jalisco. We shared a nice conversation together, and I just kind of told him, he's been doing a great job, and he's been doing it for a while. So he also gave me my flowers, and it was a great moment. And now you could say that we're friends. So that's another beautiful thing about events like this. They bring chefs together, they bring the culinary industry together, and pretty much it's a great place to network, and it's a great place to make new friends if you want to make new friends.
Boxes all day long, in my heart a hero song. Onward to my destiny, the warrior inside of me.
Adventurous, now heed my call. Myth will never fall.
The world looks to California to answer the hard questions, for redemption, to introduce the unfamiliar, to be resilient. Because California bounces back, holds us accountable, values who we are, remains vigilant, defies those in our way, and stands for community. Here on the West Coast, we're at the center of it all. Los Angeles Times, the state of what's next.
I'm Stephanie Brajo from the LA Times food team. I am here with Courtney Storer, the culinary supervisor, producer, chef extraordinaire from The Bear, the hit TV show on FX. And today we are going to learn how to make a true Italian beef sandwich.
In today's beef, we're gonna use chuck, But in the past, I've used top round, top sirloin roasts. Just remember that with different cuts of meat, different prices, so whatever budget you're on, you can make an Italian beef. We also have to have our fundamentals, which is our bread. We have Toronto bread today.
Very important component for the Italian beef specifically.
Very Toronto bread. And then I have some giardiniera. We have all of our things to make the giardiniera, some onion that I like to roast the beef in, some garlic, and then our spices. I like a foundation for the beef to be onion powder, garlic powder. I have dried basil, dried oregano, a little bit of celery seed. I use a little bit of paprika garlic blend, and then some chili flake, which isn't on here, and beef stock.
Can I smell this? Is that
Yeah, smell
would
it.
that be weird if I smell this?
No.
Oh my god, it smells
Smells
so
good. We get our heat on, and we're gonna get our pan nice and hot. Now, browning the Italian beef, you can do it or you can skip this part entirely. It'll still come out really nice. I go ahead and give it a good amount of salt, make it rain, you know, and pepper, a good amount of pepper. So I flipped my board over here. I'm just gonna go ahead and get an onion ready. But we kind of just quarter it. And then we're gonna peel all the sides. Here, grab an apron, you come on in. You come on in, we do this together, teamwork.
All right, sounds good.
So a whole head of garlic and just chop it in half.
Should I wear this hat too?
Is it a Cubs hat?
It's a. I mean, I am gonna say I am definitively team Dodgers, but like I'll, you know.
Today you're a Cubs fan.
Today I'm a Cubs fan.
But
All right,
also
here we go.
controversial for Chicagoans. That's a whole nother thing.
Oh my God,
That's
I can't.
a whole other show.
I don't even. It's a whole other show.
We got the beef. We're gonna put it in the heat because our oil's nice and hot. I turn the heat down a little bit and we're gonna let it caramelize. Something that I always tell people when they're cooking stuff at home is when we are tasting meat and we feel it and we're like, okay, that's rare, and you know how they show chefs and they do the pinching.
Right, your hand.
Until you feel really more comfortable with that, it's okay to use a meat thermometer. We want to cook it in the oven till it's about 125. Ready to go, teamwork.
Okay. Oh my God.
In we go. In she goes.
Perfect.
Et voila. This is my baby. This is a dream of mine to have a slicer. We got our beef. I'm gonna put it in to cook it. And then I'm gonna add in my homemade beef stock here. I like to use oxtail bone or any sort of beef bone that you can slow roast. And then I kind of add that with a bunch of water, carrot, onion, celery, garlic. So look at how that beef is gonna change.
Yeah, you can see it cooking already a little bit. It's absorbing this sauce.
Yeah.
It's glossy. Oh,
Look,
gorgeous.
but I'm not turning that heat up too much, right? When you make your giardiniera on your own, it does have a different texture, but the steps to making it can be a little bit more, it takes more time. So just be prepared. The way I make it is I cut down all these vegetables, and I like to use a lot of fennel, which is different in my giardiniera. I like carrot, I like celery, and then I like cauliflower. Serrano peppers as well. You can kind of see them in here, or you can use jalapenos. I use serranos. Depending on the time of year, you just want to be careful because they can get really, really spicy, and then your giardiniera can go crazy. When I talk about using vinegar, when you're making something like giardiniera, I like to heat up the vinegar, boil it with all the aromatics, pour it over the veg, and then add oil to preserve.
It's like a little like pickling.
Yes,
you know?
it's like a pickling thing. It's a whole different episode.
Yeah.
That's episode 2.
Yeah.
This is a perfect size, I think. Let's
Great.
do 3 of these for us.
Perfect.
And while that beef is cooking, we're gonna go ahead. This bread is not pre-sliced, so I add a little cut in there.
And it's gotta be hinged.
Yeah, hinged? Oh,
Like
yeah,
a-
hinged. I'm like, what?
You're like a new cooking term?
Oh
No.
my God, yes, you just taught me something.
Absolutely
Hinged. It has to be hinged. Don't skip the hinge. Then go and get our bread out. But do you feel how hot? Be careful, don't burn yourself.
Oh yeah, and can you hear it?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Everyone having a great time today?
Yeah, and that's in the show.
So much good food, so much good drink. Thank you guys for coming.
Crumbly, it's too dense.
Grab your final bites. Come on over to cooking stage.
It's the mixer.
Nice
It's not the mixer, all right? It's
Again,
crumbly.
welcome
The oven's
to the
too dry. You need to fill a
2024
baking sheet
Food
with
Bowl,
water,
LA
put it
Times
on the oven
Food Bowl,
floor, throw in another
presented by
batch.
City
Okay?
National Bank.
Just do it.
We're here for a real treat. This is really
Midwesterners are
special. And
very nice
when you have someone this special on, you need someone equally as great to host. So please welcome LA Times Food General Manager Lori Ochoa.
Hi, everyone. So, of course, you know Nancy Silverton. No introduction needed. If you've eaten at Mozza or had her breads at the old La Brea Bakery. In fact, I met Nancy when I was doing a story for the LA Times. When you were opening Campanile, the old...
No, La Brea Bakery. That was
at the same time.
Yeah.
They opened, basically, they were doing the bakery and then the restaurant. But my story was about the restaurant.
Yes.
And then I ended up helping you write Breads of La Brea Bakery.
Not helping me write it.
But, and then, we go on walks sometimes. And one of the things that we talked about on the walks around not far from here was the making of this book over here, right?
Yes.
The cookie that changed my life. Now, it was not just going to be the cookie. It was going to be the peanut butter cookie, right? So
it was supposed to be the peanut butter cookie that changed my life, which I'll tell you why. But the people that really run publishing are the marketers. And all of the marketing team said you can't call a book, you can't use the word peanut in a title of a book because... too many peanut allergies out there. So sorry for all of you that have that peanut allergy. But, and so I thought, well, what am I going to call it? I'm not going to call it Nancy Silverton's baking book. I'm not going to call it the best dessert you ever had. I didn't know what to call it. And then I think it was my editor that came with, could you live with the cookie that changed my life? And I said I could, but I'm going to tell everybody was not the name. So... If any of you that have that book, cross out cookie and write in peanut
butter. But tell them why peanut butter cookie. Because there was something very specific about a peanut butter cookie.
Yep. So, now mind you, I have 30 minutes. 30 minutes? How long do I have?
30 minutes.
And I sometimes ramble, and it's hard for me to talk and do something at the same time. So hopefully I don't ramble too long on this and why, because I'm sure I'll find other things to ramble on about. But basically what had happened is 2020, and I like to think about 2020. I don't like to call it the pandemic or COVID times or whatever. Let's just say 2020, where the rest of the world was baking their way through sourdough bread.
You'd already done that.
Right. I didn't find the need that I had to do it. In fact, I didn't really have the need to do anything except for worry about my business and the people that worked for me. And Michael, who I live with, he's probably somewhere out there.
There.
Oh, there he is. Happened to bring back a peanut butter cookie from one of my favorite bakeries in town. It's called Friends and Family. And it's run by a baker. Actually, she's a former baker and her husband, a former cook at Campanile. So I knew her for years. And I had just written the blurb for her new cookbook called Good to the Grains, I think. Now I feel terrible because another former cook did a grain book. Does anybody have that book?
We'll look
okay,
it up.
Please, Roxana, forgive me, but I'm going to say it was called Good to the Grains, and it's a fantastic book. And I had the PDF, and for those of you that don't know what it was, because I didn't know about it until she sent it to me, that's the online version. I mean, what do you call it?
What's digital?
The digital version of a book. I didn't have the book, So anyway, here is this peanut butter cookie. And I think when you're a baker, I think that as you get better and better, you can understand or recognize when something's perfect. And this was a perfect peanut butter cookie. And it was perfect for a few reasons. One of it is that the type of cookie it is, which is a cookie that's meant to be shaped into a ball, and baked into the oven, as opposed to something piped, or it's as opposed to something rolled out, whatever it was. Anything that's shaped in a ball can only do a couple things in the oven. It can only spread slightly, it has to have rounded edges, and it has to crack on top. If you don't have any of those three characteristics, then your recipe is wrong or your technique is wrong. Okay, just remember that. So here came the most perfect peanut butter cookie. So already I was starting to get a little bit angry. So I thought maybe it's not going to taste so good. And then I broke it open, and it did the fourth thing that style of cookie has to do, and it can't crack. It has to be chewy, right? And then I tasted it, and it was like, okay, not only is this the best peanut butter cookie I ever ate, it's far better than anything I've made it. And then I was really angry because I always pretend my facade is that I'm not competitive. I love when people do things better than me, and that's not the truth. So the next day, I had to buy peanut butter, not only because I didn't have any, but I had to go and buy Skippy peanut butter, which is the only
Nancy
peanut
Silverton
butter.
by Skippy Peanut
Well,
Butter.
or Jif. I mean, it's the only, you need everything that's in those. You can't go to like Maggie's at the farmer's market and get just, ground peanut butter. It won't work. You need
But it's fantastic peanut butter.
It is. It is great, but not for peanut butter cookies. Okay. So I set out to make this peanut butter cookie, but I had to make sure I personalized it. I couldn't just make her a cookie and say, okay, I can make it too. I had to make it a little bit different. So what I did to this cookie is I made a big divot, and I filled it with peanut butter, and then I popped it in the oven just to set it, and then I took it out, and I took some pre-roasted Spanish peanuts with that beautiful skin, and I tossed them in a little peanut oil with salt, and I piled them up on top, and there I popped it back in the oven, and then out came something that I don't know if it's a tart that thought it was a peanut butter cookie or a peanut butter cookie that thought it was a tart. Whatever it was, I love to say, and it's better than Roxana's, which is not the truth. It's not. It's on equal par.
But it's a damn fine cookie. Oh my God. It's so good. Those peanuts on top, the salt.
Good. No, it is a good cookie, but so is hers. Hers is a great cookie, too.
Okay, but that got you into what you're making today.
Yeah, and what I talked about on our walk was I thought, what I would love to have in my 1,000+ shelves of cookbooks is one book that in the cover was everything that every home cook really wants to make. I always say any home cook that says they want to make croissants at home or puff pastry or babka, I say you're lying. Why would your counter's probably not big enough to roll out the dough. Who wants flour on the floor? Who has enough refrigerator space to put a sheet pan in and out during the laminations, right? What you really want to make is a carrot cake. So I thought what I want to do this year while everyone was baking their way through sourdough bread is I want to put together a book of all the recipes that people actually want to make, but really, and I had nothing but time to focus in on them and think about what I would do to tweak them, not to make them unrecognizable, not so that when you ate it you thought, it's great, but I really want the traditional one, but to do something a little bit different that maybe makes it a little bit better, which segues into what I'm going to make for you today. So let me tell you beforehand what I did, and then I'll actually make the recipe or parts of the recipe because it's really simple. So what are some of the things? Okay, the first thing I did is I love carrot cake, by the way. How many people like carrot cake out there? Yeah. Uh-oh, she's not answering or she's busy. I'll change that for you. Okay.
But not everyone loves it because there's some things you do that sometimes people think is too sweet.
Yeah, right. And some people don't like raisins and walnuts, which you could, by the way, keep out either of them. But one thing that I always thought interesting about carrot cake is, and it's also healthy, right? So you think, okay, I'll have carrot cake. At least I'm getting some vegetable. But what I always thought about and always bothered me was, why does a carrot cake not taste carroty? You see all those carrots, but you don't really taste carrots, right? And I think we should. So I went into my one-person pastry department as opposed to the 8 or 9 person pastry department in most times. And I said to one of the cooks, the one cook that was there, have you ever done anything different with carrot cake than the traditional carrots, oil-based cake with pineapple? And she was very shy. She was a little bit new, but also very shy. And because there was always 9 people around her, I never had much of a conversation with her, Diana. And she said, I was working at a place, and the woman put roasted carrots in the carrot cake. And I thought, okay, that's brilliant. I'm stealing that. And so that's one of the things that I did. I replaced the moisture from the pineapple with roasted carrots, and it actually tastes like carrots.
And you also say the pineapple is like canned pineapple. So why in a healthy cake do you have a can?
Exactly. So now it's really healthy. It's got roasted carrots and no canned pineapple. Then I thought, what else about a carrot cake can I do? Well, a carrot cake has to have cream cheese frosting. There's no talking about that. It has to. But how can I make cream cheese frosting better? So in cream cheese frosting, there's cream cheese, powdered sugar, butter, and in my case, salt, because you have to have salt in everything that's sweet as well as savory. I did put vanilla paste in it, but then I thought about the butter, and I decided to put what I call in the book, and I use it in many recipes, a golden butter. So it's not quite browned, so my frosting would be brown with, and what we're doing is we're cooking, which I'll explain later, and caramelizing the milk solids. But I put in a golden butter, which just changed it. And then the third thing I did was this. I thought, at home, the most challenging thing about making a cake is cutting it into 3, spreading on the frosting, in some cases not wrapping the frosting around, which always makes your cake look like this, but it's a little bit daunting. So I thought about putting it in a mold instead. And by baking it in a mold like this, it's 25% at least of the work is done for you, because when you turn it out, wow, you already have a beautiful looking cake. Now, if I were you, what I would do, but I didn't do it for this because I don't have it in my book that way, I would serve it like that, and then I would serve the frosting on the side. People go take a wedge, take a spoon and put as much as they want on, or even more, right? And then anything that's like a little interactive, when you get to play with your food, somehow it tastes better. But if you don't want to do that, if you think, oh, well, I need to show off my skills at frosting, what's easy about this, but it does take time because I did it yesterday, you gotta get in the crevices, but you have a guide to frost it. And by the way, there's a lot of frosting left over, so you can still serve it on the side because, remember, this cake has nothing in between.
Double frosting.
So let's get into making the cake. As simple as can be. What I've done ahead of time is I roasted my carrots. So the carrots go in at a moderate to high oven. You can do it at 400 degrees. You don't have to peel them, just wash them. Roast them until they're absolutely cooked.
Do you put anything on them before?
No, don't need to. So we're just going to puree it. Okay. And then you puree it in a food processor. And the other thing that I have done ahead of time is I grated my fresh ginger. I love carrot and ginger and then I also grated, and I have the knuckle wound to show you, on a box grater, that wide hole. So I don't think a microplane makes a hole large enough. You do need the large shreds, okay? But making this cake can't be simpler. Now, most carrot cakes start off with I don't even know how to use this thing. Okay. How do you, yeah. Is it locked? No. Don't go far. Oh, it's that button thing. Yeah, okay. Okay.
What kind of oil is that?
So this is olive oil. And olive oil and carrot cake, I love olive oil cakes. And we make olive oil cakes as well at the restaurant.
Because most carrot cake recipes don't use olive oil.
No, they don't, but I did. So that's like another little, yeah. You know, I think I made it for us the traditional. Don't leave. Just stay right here. I'm going to need you throughout anything that plugs in. Come to my house. Nothing plugs in. Now what?
Now over here. How? This thing.
Okay, so we can go. Oh, wait. No, I need my eggs. Oh, and see, I'm talking away, and to tell you the truth, I didn't want the oil now, but that's okay. I just realized I wanted my eggs. But that's okay, because we're just whipping it. So ordinarily, it's the sugar and the eggs. Okay? With the beater. And not the... That's why I can't talk and work. And boy, when I see people in the pastry department, I'm just wondering, wow, how do you do it? Because you really do need to concentrate.
We could have a comedy show at this point.
Yeah. Now do what? This?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. And the reason why it doesn't matter is because this could really be done in a without a mixer. You could do it in a bowl.
You also don't want people to be intimidated by cooking, right? Like a lot of people are scared to bake, and like a lot of the things in this book are pretty.
They're really,
designed to
really
be
simple,
not-
and also, and I always say this in cooking too. If you start out with great ingredients, your mistakes are edible. No, I'm looking for my. I should probably. Is this a sponsor? Am I allowed to say KitchenAid, or is that like? You never know. Okay, and this is not for me, by the way. Yeah, but I don't need it in here. It's for my frosting. So once this is to a ribbon, now remember I have my olive oil in. Do you have a mirror? Oh, you have a. Do you have a? Is anything on here to see what's in here?
They can see.
Oh, this is not as. Oh, this is really not quite the texture because remember I have olive oil in here, but that's okay. And we're just whipping air into the eggs.
I like that your hand memory is going for the KitchenAid.
I know, it's like... Okay, that's good. Now, I'm going to add my baking powder, my baking soda, my salt is in here, and ground cinnamon. And what I was saying earlier was that it's not just me, but I think bakers a number of years ago realized that they needed to incorporate salt into the baking department of all restaurants or bakeries, that they don't need to go into the kitchen and say, can I borrow a pinch of salt because they were doing something. I think probably every recipe in this book has salt in it. Because salt brings out flavor. It doesn't mean you need it salty, but it brings out flavor just like sugar is. Now I'm adding vanilla paste, and I prefer vanilla paste over vanilla extract because the vanilla paste also has, if you can see, I don't know, anyone that has good eyes, not like mine, do you see all the flecks? This actually has the bean in it as well. And I also love the consistency. Now,
is that available? You know, most supermarkets have vanilla extract.
Yeah, but I mean, like Surface does. You know, like Williams Sonoma would sell it, but everything, well, I've got to say, is online. Vanilla paste, it's really worth it. But another thing that I noticed while I was really honing in on all of the recipes in my book was that I had the time finally, and by the way, I'm 70. I had the time finally to look and see and analyze certain flavors. Now, does this go up? I got to scrape down the side. Certain flavors in recipes. And it was there that I realized that when a recipe calls for... Yeah, but I'm going to change this at the same time. Sorry. If you're using an electric mixer and you don't mind washing extra things, I would switch to a paddle now because we're adding some clunky things that will get stuck in the beater. But I would like, for this, I'm going to take this. When I started thinking about recipes that called for vanilla extract, this I should be able to figure out. No, but it's... I didn't have it. You do it. I realized that when a recipe calls for a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, I used to smoke. I haven't smoked for 30 years, but I try to say I have a good palate. I have never tasted a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract in a recipe before, especially since most of it gets stuck on the spoon itself. So that's another thing that you will notice in my book. Nothing has less than a tablespoon of vanilla extract.
Or paste.
Or paste, but a vanilla flavoring. In fact, if they wouldn't have let me say the cookie that changed my life, it would have been the vanilla paste that changed my life. And it was so funny because the first event I did when my book was hot off the press was at a collaboration with the cookbook store Now Serving, which was held in Hollywood in a big space, and I did a book signing. And sure enough, 5 minutes after that book was available, the publisher got the first call that was, I think there's a mistake in the peanut butter cookie. It calls for 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract. It's like, that's not a mistake. There are mistakes in the book, by the way, but that was not one of them. So I don't think, given the quantity, anything less than a tablespoon of vanilla extract is possible. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to add my pureed carrots.
And you have pureed carrots and the shreds.
And shreds.
So why both?
Yeah, because I still want to see the carrot in there. You know what I'm saying? I still like the shreds. So I still do both.
Anything else?
Well, I'm going to. That's. Oh, yeah. I'm just going to stir this first. Okay, and then I'm going to add my flour. So, and one thing, by the way, that whether I'm at home or doing a demonstration, I always have all my ingredients in front of me because it's a lot easier to add them instead of putting it in the oven and say, oh my goodness, I forgot the sugar, right? Maybe it's not the right order, but at least the sugar will be in. Now, this is something I learned early on my baking, was to, with the help of parchment paper, it's a great way to get dry ingredients like flour into the machine rather than trying, especially when you want your machine run. No, I'm gonna let it run. Is it locked? Yeah. Especially when the machine is running, to get them in rather than trying to get them in any other way. But you also don't want your mixer to go too high, because I too have made the mistake of turning my mixer back on speed 3 and having a kitchen full of, see, of you, see. Where's mine? Okay. And finally, the golden raisins and the walnuts. And like I was saying, if you're not a walnut lover, a lot of people aren't, and a lot of people don't even like them in their brownies. I do. Eliminate them if you don't like raisins.
Why golden raisins versus?
I just prefer the color of the golden raisins along with the hue of the carrots. Yeah. And that's it. Now, if it's okay with you, I'm not going to dirty my pan, but I think you know how to fill a pan. But even though this is a nonstick, I still spray it with a unflavored cooking spray. So that's the cake. Now let's talk about the frosting. Oh, I got to do it over here. Let me move. You leave that there because you already told me I need to keep it here. But I'm going to take this bowl out, put that bowl in with that other paddle. Okay, so first thing you would be doing, which I already have done for you right here, is I would be making that golden butter. And I'll take, where was the one you had cubed up? Because that's better. Great. So, golden butter. So when butter starts to boil, we know that we're separating the milk solids. Now let's see, did I do this right? So I turned it on. Well, let's go high-ish, because I've probably eaten up most of my time here. We'll just watch it. What's the highest? 12? We'll go to 10.
What kind of butter is that?
So this is an unsalted butter. I never cook with salted butter because I like to control the amount of salt that goes. I'm just going to go all the way up to high.
And do you use like supermarket butter or?
For something like this, yes.
Or
When we say
butter?
supermarket butter, we say kind of like a common butter. In
Land
this
O'Lakes.
case, you're not going to taste it like you would with a laminated dough. When we use a laminated dough or a butter cookie, I tend to use a European style butter, I call it, with a higher butter fat and a better flavor. So this is not though. And then I'm going to start this. So you need to make your golden butter. You can see that all my delicious milk solids are caramelized. This, by the way, lovely pattern is the shape of the deli that it was, the plastic container it was in. You need to chill it, and then straight from the refrigerator, just cut it up, and we're going to use it as if this was just regular butter, right? And a lot of my cookies start with golden butter, which I love. Here, you can vouch for that. That smell, now smell that.
Yeah.
Right? I'd pass this around, but by the time it got to the end, it would be like a liquid. But just trust me, it's got great flavor.
So this is bubbling.
Yeah, this is bubbling, and I'm going to continue letting it bubble. Make sure you choose a pot that's big enough because it's going to come up. But as soon as, do we have a glass bowl? I can use even a dirty one because I'm not, well. How about the carrot? Oh, where's that? But that's not big enough. How about a carrot bowl? Meanwhile, I'm going to start to cream it. It's going to cream much faster than other butter.
Smell.
What?
It's starting to the smell.
We'll move everything over here. Oh, and then I have some frosting in the refrigerator. Oh, do I even have a bigger one? Well, we'll do that. That's okay. Oh, yeah.
Put that in here?
Because I didn't need that. I don't know why I brought it. Here you go. You can have that. So this is creamed. So I'm going to turn it off. See how it's bubbling up? And, go by your nose. Go by...
Okay, it's starting to turn. That's
yeah, did you see the color?
Yeah, it's just now.
Okay, so look at it. And it's not brown butter. When it...
So you wait just till it starts to turn that color?
Yeah. So we'll let it... Maybe a little browner than I would do it. Remember, I had this on 12, which I wouldn't ordinarily do. So it's probably a little bit past golden butter, but that was really fast. So if you do it on a medium-high heat, so it should be... See, it's not a good brown butter. Can you see that?
Yeah.
But it's maybe a shade I don't know if you can see that.
So what do you look for in the pan to know that it's time to take it off?
So the time to take it off would most likely be before all of that foaminess, because all that foaminess is what's going to be in another half a minute brown butter. Okay, but you can see that it's still golden.
Yeah. And you can see the solids going in.
Yep. Okay, then you would chill this, and then you would cream it. Okay, now I have my cream cheese that I'm going to add to that. And this cream cheese is kind of room temperature.
And is there a special kind of cream cheese or just any?
This is just like Philadelphia style cream cheese, you call it. So it doesn't have to be, what's the brand? Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But it's also a style, that style. You can't do, you can't use a, like there's a cream cheese that I love, like on my bagels, for instance. It's called Gina Marie, and it has none of that stabilizer. You can't make a cream cheese frosting. It has to be a sticky one. Okay.
So Michael says 10 minutes, but it reminds me of the story you just told about Julia Child. Do you want to tell them?
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. Let me just get that little spatula that I have. I'm going to add my vanilla paste. Well, let me add my sugar first. Wait a minute. Sorry, Lori, I have to turn it off. Then do this. No, why not? Oh. Okay. This is my powdered sugar. And by the way, you need to sift or put through a strainer your powdered sugar because it does lump. So my powdered sugar and my vanilla paste. So I was telling Lori, when Michael, our stage manager, said to us before Lori and I went on, just enough time to, I'll never get this right. Just enough time that I got to tell her this story, which we can sort of end with, because I'm going to show you how to frost this cake, or not all of it, was this that years and years ago, and by the way, it's on YouTube if you want to look and see what I look like when I had my third child, so that's 30 years ago. I did an episode with Julia Child's Baking with Julia, and I was actually invited into her home, and as the other bakers were, and I baked a dessert with her. In my case, I did a brioche tart with sautéed stone fruit, so that means peaches, apricots, plums, but they were sautéed in a very hot syrup, so that they cooked through, and then it was finished with a sabayon. Anyway, so the show that we were doing was not live. It could be edited, but she liked her shows to be shot in real time. So she said, 5 minutes before we're done, you're going to feel a tap on the hip, and that means stop, cut whatever you're doing, and shove it in my mouth. So I'm sautéing this warm fruit, and the fruit's super hot, and I get the tap. So not only did I need to top the tart with the stone fruit, I needed also to do the sabayon and these spiced almonds on top. So I needed that 5 minutes. So I cut the tart, I put the stone fruit, the sabayon, and the nuts. I cut it, I shove it in her mouth, and tears start rolling down. And my thought was, oh my goodness, I burnt the roof of Julia Child's mouth. And then she looked at me and she said, this is a dessert to cry over. Well, so obviously I felt a lot better, but it's a great story to tell, and the reason why is that food, all food, especially good food, should bring you back to a place that you loved, wish you were there again, want to go to. And obviously this brought her somewhere back to her years in France where she had something similar. And on that note, Lori, I want you to taste this to see the difference between cream cheese with brown butter as opposed to, and it's not going to be as white as the other. You don't have to eat all of it, but it gives it another.
You do taste the brown butter, though.
A whole nother dimension, right? So let me show you real quickly. I'm not going to do it all because my time's going to be up. You know what? I take it back. My butter did not go too long. That's golden butter with the milk solids at the bottom. It's not brown butter.
It's
Just
golden.
remember that for the record. So, in order to frost the cake, oh good. And by the way, when I was trying to choose something, now he's going to say like 2 minutes. Okay, I'll do it this fast. I need my little offset.
Oh, 5.
Spec.
You got 5.
Oh. You know, when you're doing something like a demonstration like this, and I'm not allowed, it's against the law for me to give you any tasting portions. I wanted to choose something that I could talk about the technique, but you didn't necessarily have to taste it, right? Because if it was something that was so subtle that it's like everything about the recipe is in the taste, although it is, but you can't taste it, that wouldn't have been good. So like I said, the recipe is going to give you far more than you need. But at this point, and I'm not going to do the whole thing because I don't need to, and why work if I don't need to, is you just want to follow. So it does take, it's not like a quick fix, but you do want to follow the contours.
What's a mistake people make when they frost cakes? Like sometimes it's too gloppy or...
Well, you got to have a really smooth frosting and one that's not melted, right? Or your cake can't be warm. But like this is pretty forgiving also because I'm going to be putting on walnuts, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you just need enough glue because remember I said serve the rest of the frosting on the side. If someone doesn't think that they got the right amount of frosting, they'll just help themselves, right? And I love that. So you get the idea. You just have to follow the contours. I already got a piece off. And then once you do that...
And frosting can help hide mistakes like that.
Yeah, frosting does help hide mistakes, but we're not going to have any.
Okay, so you made Julia Child cry. Is there a food that's made you cry?
Yeah, and recently, too.
Wow.
Oh, I know what made me cry. So I was at one of my favorite restaurants in London called Mountain, and the chef there, Thomas, has another restaurant there called, 2 restaurants called Brat, so they're kind of very Basque influenced. And he is making a loaf of bread that he serves a big hunk of that he not only drizzles with olive oil on top, but then he doesn't toast it or heat it or anything. It's just a nice drizzle to give you the most delicious Irish butter I have ever had. Not Irish butter I've ever had, the most delicious butter I've ever had. That made me cry.
That sounds good.
And then I'll just show you when you do that, right? And it can look kind of messy, but finish the cake. And then you're just going to sprinkle on the extra walnuts that were not in the recipe, that we saved out of the recipe. Like that, and kind of, I didn't chop these as you can see because my board is, and my knife is so sticky, but then I kind of just either throw them on or place them on so that it looks like this. And that's it.
Beautiful. Thank
How
you,
did
Nancy
I do,
Silverton.
Michael, time-wise? Good?
I think so. Nancy Silverton and carrot cake. Woo!
Carrot cake. And everybody loves carrot cake.
All right, well, that ends the cooking demonstration, so you still have some time. Go get some food. But before you do that, don't forget to pick up your copy of Nancy's new book. She'll be signing right behind you at Pages of Bookstore. Thank you, Pages, for coming out.
Oh, and we have these too, Michael.
And yes.
We have these right over there.
those are beautiful.
These are burlap and we have burlap and barrel spices, and Headley and Bennett made these aprons for us, and they're gorgeous.
Great
and we also
colors.
have our taco zine, so you could get those right over there.
So food section merch. Thank you guys all for coming out. We will see you next year.
Wow, that's a long time. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.